Do do do, theme song. Do do do, I'm broke so this is my theme song. Do do do, just imagine this is an awesome theme song. Do do, theme song. Left of the box. Hello, welcome to Left of the Box. Bonjour, bienvenue. I'm Sandy. Welcome, 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 everyone. This time I'm actually going to make sure in the sandbox I've done this right and I'm live because I had Mike from the Humanist Report on my show last Wednesday and I started the stream and it was so good. And then I realized I hadn't hit go live on YouTube. I hit go live on OBS, but not on YouTube. Oh, and speaking of which, I need to start recording this too as backup. So as soon as I get from the sandbox that I am in fact live, we will start this stream proper. Because so far in the sandbox, there is Looney Tunes 9000, BCat K, Soul Life, who has to lurk for work, and Crotchety. Let's see. Crotchety saying after his appeal failed, Jordy Peterman decided to take the media training so he doesn't lose his accreditation. Yes, that is very true. We'll be talking a bit about that and some other stuff. But I know there's a delay, so I'm just waiting to make sure there's somebody responding to me in the sandbox. This is like the suspenseful time for me. But then I have to like keep on talking just in case I am live. And that way you're not just staring at me, staring at the screen. I'm getting a little nervous. I still haven't seen anything. No, let's check my YouTube. Let's check my YouTube. It does look like I'm live on my YouTube. I had to hit refresh, but I am alive. Live chat. Normally somebody in the sandbox would be replying to me by now. Looney Tunes, can you hear me? Okay, I finally got 2 people confirming. I'm live on YouTube. Okay. Whew. That's a relief. That is a bit of a relief. Because, yeah, that was a bit embarrassing last time with Mike from the Humanist Report on. And the funny thing is right before we went live, we were talking privately and just saying, you know, like, oh, yeah, the joys of being a live streamer and the mistakes you make and how you just have to get over them. And then I made a really big mistake. And that was funny. Okay, yes, we have people in the sandbox. Okay, so now that people are here, I'm going to do this. So, right here, if no, this hand over there, yeah, here and there. I have to mirror it. I have 2 new social media accounts, Left of the Box and Left of the Box, on Twitter and Blue Sky. I finally decided that I should probably separate them from my SandeeLovas account. So why don't I just put these up here? So over on the side here, you see that I have like these accounts, and I had SandeeLovas for Blue Sky and for Twitter, but then I realized, actually I'm going to see about making that a bit bigger for everyone. No, that's the wrong one. I don't know which screen that was. Great. Oh, OBS is kind of mess sometimes. No, I want that one. Okay. There we go. That's the right one. So, I realize that there may be times that I actually want to use my SandeeLovas account that isn't so much, you know, related to my channel content. And especially when I start getting my books out, because I have the one book that I'm working on for the derby that I'm in. And once the derby is over, around end October, I want to be able to plug it, which means I want to be able to change like my profile pic, my banner pic, all that sort of stuff, and kind of separate it. And then this way too, in these two accounts, when I like things, it's specifically going to be for articles and stuff that I plan on putting in the show, just to make them a little bit more easier to find. But I'm still working on the algorithms to get them going so that I can find the same stuff. So I'm like literally, oh, I like this on this profile. Now I have to go over there and like it on that profile. And I've been doing like a lot of cross posting. So for people who are already following me on both, sorry for all the cross posts, but it's going to have to be a while until I can build up my new accounts. A lot of that, like it took me 4 years to get not even 2,400 followers on my original Twitter account. So I'm hoping that I can increase it, but I still have to plug a lot of my stuff through my normal account, my SandeeLovas account, because I scored a lot of really good followers on there. You know, like Sam Cedar follows me on there, Emma, the Majority Report, you know, Lance, and all these other people who don't follow me on my new account, because it's going to be a while before everyone kind of finds out about it. But I'm working on it. I am working on it. Let's see. Crouchity says, took me a moment to realize it was a genuine question, LOL. Yes, it was a genuine question because, like I said, last Wednesday I started the stream with Mike and we were like going full in and only realized a few minutes later that I hadn't hit go live on YouTube, so none of that was live. However, if you go to the clips on my YouTube page, you can see it because I posted the clip because I was recording on my OBS. So I have the entire thing and I posted the clip. So you get the extra bonus 3.5 minutes before I went live and watching me totally realize that I messed that up. So go and watch that clip. It's kind of fun. And then it gets into the Canadian pop quiz for Mike from the Humanist Report. He didn't do that bad, actually. He got some of the questions, which is more than a lot of the Americans who don't get any of the questions. But yes, we have Jeff the Heathen is here as well. And Monope is also here. Voshman is also here. Welcome, welcome. Okay. Is that enough chit-chatting? Should we just get into it? I don't know. I feel like I still need to ease it. The joys of live streaming. Sometimes I'm so discombobulated that it's like, yeah. Because I like just chatting and getting into things. And there's so much going on in my brain right now. But, you know, you're here for politics. So we should probably get into some politics. Okay. Shemagli is in with a whole bunch of, emojis in there. Okay. There we go. Let's do that. So here, see, again, I have over there the new accounts. So please go follow my new accounts on Twitter and Blue Sky, which are both LeftoftheBox. Because originally when I joined Twitter, since I'm just going to be chit-chatting, originally when I joined Twitter, LeftoftheBox was not available. It wasn't. And I was trying to figure out, like, do I want SandeeLovas and LeftoftheBox or LeftoftheBox, but LeftoftheBox wasn't available. And so I went to SandeeLovas, but now I realize, like, back then I had no concept of where my life was going to be going. And I had no idea that maybe I would want to separate the two, my channel content from me, because I am my channel. And so when I decided that, okay, I'm going to make new accounts, LeftoftheBox was now available, so I took it. Anyway, back to this. There's been a bit of a hoopla here in Canada over one Prime Minister in waiting, Pierre Poilievre. It appears that he may have, we don't really know, to have used a bot farm to promote a campaign event that he was at, but we don't know. They're denying that they were part of it, of course. So here we have the 280 Times Trivia channel, and I don't think this person is getting enough credit because from what I can tell, they were the first one to clue into this. They're a Twitter peep of mine, and a very strong advocate for disability rights. And they came across this. And I think they were the first one to notice it. So credit to the 280 Times Trivia channel. And so they're saying, it seems Canadian political Northern Ontario, every person covered on Kirkland Lake to see Pierre Poilievre, and all had the exact same opinions and wrote their tweets the exact same way too. There's more variations, but I'm bored, I said. And so we go here. It's going to be difficult for you to see it on the screen, I realize, but I'll read some out for you. They're actually really tiny for me too. So this person here just returned from Pierre Poilievre's rally in Kirkland Lake, and I'm fired up. As a Northern Ontarian, it's refreshing to see a... it's hard to read because the print is so tiny and it's merged together. Who truly understands our unique challenges. Poilievre's passion to our region is palpable. And excited to see. That's exactly how a normal person would write a tweet to say, Pierre Poilievre's is palpable. It's a palpable feeling. That's very authentic right there. And then we have this one down here. Just left the Pierre Poilievre rally in Kirkland Lake, and I'm electrified as a Northern. Oh yeah, it just says, as a Northern. It's refreshing to see a leader who genuinely understands our unique challenges. Pierre's passion for Ontario North is contagious, like a virus. Let's see. Oh, this one has less words, so it might be easier for me to read. Just got back from Pierre Poilievre's rally in Kirkland Lake, and I'm still buzzing from the energy. As a Northern Ontarian, it's refreshing to see a leader who truly understands our unique challenges and opportunities. Just got back from Pierre Poilievre's rally in Kirkland Lake, and I'm still buzzing from the energy. As a Northern Ontarian, it's refreshing to see a leader who actually listens to our concerns, wants to empower our communities. That's 4 pages right here of different accounts saying basically the same thing. Just returned from Pierre Poilievre's rally in Kirkland Lake, and I'm still buzzing from the energy as a Northerner. It's refreshing to see a leader who truly gets our unique challenges and opportunity. Like, they're all pretty much the same word salads. And then it went on because the 280 Times said, turns out, much as I'm not a fan of boredom, I'm less of a fan of potential foreign interference. This is page 5 of these screen caps and a view of some of the profiles who all just happened to tweet about the same previous topic. And so we go here. Again, just another entire page of, let's pick one randomly here. I was at Pierre Poilievre's rally in Kirkland Lake last night, and I was blown away by the energy in the room. As a Northern Ontarian, it's refreshing to see a leader who truly understands our concerns and is committed to making a change. Just got back from Pierre Poilievre's rally in Kirkland Lake, and I'm still buzzing from the energy as a Northern Ontarian resident. Authentic resident in Northern Ontario. It's refreshing to see a leader who truly gets our concerns and is willing to listen. Let's keep up the momentum going. And here are some of the accounts here. So we have this person from France, Milwaukee, Texas, Puerto Rico. Came a long way for this. Another one from France. Okay, that kind of makes sense. We sort of speak French sometimes here. I don't know what DE is. I think it's a state that they're referring to, a DE state. Whatever state is a DE for an acronym. Delaware, USA. Well, this one's Delaware. Oh, so maybe that's Delaware. PA, that's what? Pennsylvania or something like that. So, you know, lots of Northern Ontarian residents right there. Uh, this is page 6 of these screen caps, Lisa LaFemme. So they're just trying to get, you know, the media aware of this. Don't forget that after you look into this potential foreign interference, that the Canada Disability Benefit cut 80% of its violation of Canada's CRPD obligations. And it's good that they got in that plug. But again, just more of the same thing. So many pages, so many pages. Apparently the rally in Kirkland Lake, Ontario was very electric, said these 50 people in the screen caps, all who have 0 to 5 followers, say they're from Northern Ontario but list different locations in their bio. You may want to look at this. Hey, sellout. This is a MP here, Ryan Turnbull. I know you look at your Twitter, so look into this. This is page 8 of potential foreign interference. Scroll up for the rest. Get off your ass and try doing something besides stabbing disabled Canadians in the back for a career advancement. So I'm just going to go back. So a little bit about Kirkland Lake. I did some digging into Kirkland Lake, and the population in Kirkland Lake is roughly 8,000 people. And we have pages and pages and pages of people saying the same thing. Now, not only is the population in Kirkland Lake only around 8,000 people, but it's not exactly a conservative stronghold, because a lot of people, like in northern rural areas, might assume, well, it's conservative, so maybe conservative people, we're all like kind of funneling in there. Well, here's the thing. Their MP, so that's member of parliament, and MPP, member of provincial parliament, are both part of the NDP, the most leftist party we have in power. But yet all these people were just electrified and buzzing. They were buzzing about this. So if we go back to this, so Charlie Angus, he is the NDP MP of where Kirkland Lake is. And he's saying we need to know if offshore bot farms from Russia or other locations are fanning Pierre Poilievre's rage tours across Northern Ontario. A parliamentary investigation would be a good way to look into this. And then Mark Gernstein is a Liberal MP, also saying a committee parliament should be looking into whether or not Canadian tax dollars through members of parliament budgets and other sources are paying for these farms. Yeah, that would be a good thing to look into, because this could definitely be a violation of our elections acts that we have here in Canada. Because here again, we have more people that were at this apparent rally from France, England. Oh, there is actually one from Russia who came all the way to Kirkland Lake. And New York, Monroe, New York. All these people just went to this one little teeny tiny rally in Kirkland Lake, Ontario. And I'm sure there are still people in the chat who are thinking, when I'm saying Kirkland Lake, they're like, you mean they met up at a Costco? No, Kirkland Lake pre-existed Costco. So here we have from the Toronto Star, Tories, which is another name for conservatives, reject allegations they are behind bot posts after Poilievre rally. The Conservative say they have no connection to a rash of conspicuously similar social media posts that flooded the X platform following a Pierre Poilievre event in Northern Ontario last week. Now, there is plenty of evidence out there that Pierre he has the same issues around crowd size as like Trump does. And he often bolsters much larger crowds than he actually has. He changes the angles. Sometimes it's even a blatant green screen that he uses. However, he does get some audiences in some locations, and those audiences that he does get are very white and very old. But they're also very energized and very likely to vote. So there's all of that involved with it. But here we have the conservatives say they have no connection to a rash of conspicuously similar. Okay, that was pretty much the same as their second bio line there. Okay, so we can skip past that. The conservative leader held a rally at a conference center in Kirkland Lake on July 31st to what appears in video to be a packed room of several hundred people. So of those several hundred people, pretty much half of them are avid Twitter users from other countries. 3 days later, the platform formerly known as Twitter was awash in hundreds of posts from individuals claiming they just got back from the rally and were buzzing from the energy. So they didn't even do this the same day. It's almost like they were kind of waiting around and be like, you know what? Nobody is talking about this rally. Let's get the bot farm going so that they can do this, because to do this 3 days, especially to do it 3 days after the event, what, were you waiting for everyone to get back home in Europe or something before they started tweeting about it? The post came from accounts with less than 5 followers. My new Twitter account has more than 5 followers already. Many of which had joined the platform just this month. I joined this platform on LeftoftheBox, Twitter, just this month. Very few listed a current location in Canada, and many had already been disabled by Tuesday morning. NDP Charlie Angus, whose Timon James Bay riding includes the town of Kirkland Lake, says the deluge raises questions about whether the Conservatives hired an offshore bot farm to create a false impression of momentum for Poilievre in the riding. Sarah Fisher, the director of communications for the Conservatives, accused the NDP of spreading baseless conspiracy theories. What? The Conservatives worried that somebody else might be spreading baseless conspiracy theories? I think they're just upset because that's what they do. You know, it's like stepping on their toes. It's like, hey, NDP, you don't get to spread baseless conspiracy theories. That's our thing. Huh? It's kind of what that's like. But you see, the thing is that there's nothing baseless about this theory because we have the evidence. It's all there. We can see the tweets. We can see the accounts that these tweets are linked to. This isn't a baseless theory. The CPC does not pay for bots and has no idea who's behind these accounts, Fisher said in a written statement. We are seeking the support of actual Canadians, as witnessed by large in-person turnouts at our event. Poilievre is making a strong push to win seats in Northern Ontario, including Timmins J Bay, where Angus is not seeking re-election after representing the area for 2 decades. And part of that, it's really kind of sad, he's been getting a lot of harassment from right-wingers that have been encouraged by Pierre Poilievre. And I think part of the reason why Charlie Angus isn't going for re-election is he's just tired of the constant threats and harassment he's receiving after all of this time. The Kirkland Lake stop was one of several Poilievre made on a Northern Ontario tour in last week of July. So where's like this momentum, this tweets from like all the other locations? Like if it's really that popular and this isn't just a conspiracy theory, then where are all the energized buzzing people from all those other stops? Funny how that works. Fisher said a similar bots accounts post favorable comments about Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and provided a link to several accounts with nearly identical posts about being disgusted by the negative attacks on Trudeau and calling him the best Prime Minister we've ever had. What, you mean that the Liberals can also get dirty? No. I wouldn't run it past the Liberals either. It's just that the Conservatives have just leveled up on it to make it look so much more obvious. She also pointed out 2 of the bot accounts that posted about Poilievre's rally also posted about things she said are not complimentary to the Conservative leader. But there was also like some of those bot accounts were also posting things about like, ooh, climate change is a real thing. So totally non sequitur, kind of nowhere based in relation tweets. The account's share links include posts calling for action on climate change, a complaint about unions, a love for pickleball. What's pickleball? Is that a thing? What? I don't know what pickleball is. If anyone knows in the sandbox, please let me know what pickleball is to save me from having to Google it. I will believe anything you put in there right now about what pickleball is. A recent conversation to whole wheat bread and pasta and elections and politics in Germany, Australia, and Venezuela. Fisher did not respond when asked if the party was requesting X to take any action about the post. A media request made to X was met with an unsigned automatic reply saying, "Busy now, please check back later." Dwayne Bratt, a politics professor at Mount Royal University in Calgary, said the hundreds of accounts that posted about Poilievre rally have all the trappings of being bots. They have limited numbers of followers. The account's handles are usually a name followed by a series of random letters or numbers, and if they have more than one post, the topics are incongruous. In this particular case, yeah, I would go on record to say 100% that they're bots, he said. You see, I'm not a professor, and I can still come to that conclusion. I don't think you need to be a professor to look at all those things and be like, yeah, probably a bot farm. It's kind of like, sometimes I might not know if a person has broken their arm. But if the bone is sticking out of the skin, even I, a non-medical person, can say, yeah, your arm is broken. Brad says there have been similar bot events in multiple countries for nearly a decade already. He said trolls often based in Russia and China create dozens of fake accounts, mostly on X, and use it to sow chaos in other countries. It happened during the Brexit referendum in the UK in 2016 and later in the same year, the United States presidential election. Of course, this was all supposed to be taken care of when Elon Musk owned Twitter. He said he was going to get rid of all these bot accounts. Last month, when wildfires ripped through Jasper, Alberta, he said the bots came out immediately for both political sides. Some blamed Alberta Premier Danielle Smith for the disasters, others Trudeau. Well, you can easily blame Alberta Premier Danielle Smith for this one because she cut the funding to fighting these fires drastically in the last little while and kind of denies the whole climate change thing as a thing. So you can blame Danielle Smith for this one. Justin Trudeau really has, I get it was a federal park that this happened in, but firefighting, forest firefighting, is a provincial thing. I know there's crossover. I did a video. I talked about it in a live stream. Go check it out. But it's Danielle Smith's fault. She's the one that did the cutbacks and all that sort of stuff. It's her fault. But I'm more than happy to blame Justin Trudeau on a lot of other things. But only, that's the part of the problem with these bot farms, especially when you get them from all angles, is that there are legit criticisms for everyone, in politics in general. But then when you get swamped with all these bot farms, it's hard to filter out where the authentic criticisms are coming from versus where the bots are just kind of making noise. And so it's kind of like screaming by a waterfall. The noise of the waterfall kind of drowns out the important thing you're saying, you're about to go over a waterfall. Following the G7 Leaders Summit in Quebec in 2018, Canadians and its allies... Okay, there was something else in here I wanted to get to, not that. So Brad says most often the goal isn't to create new divisions, but to amplify existing ones. He says they absolutely have an impact on Canada's politics, but most often they are not traceable and are difficult to stop. He said it's been worse since Elon Musk bought Twitter. Shocking. Eventually rebranding it as X, Musk erased some safety protocols and reduced the number of staff, including those responsible for overseeing trust and safety on the platform. Of course it's damaging, Brad said. It spreads misinformation. It gives the appearance that may not withstand reality, but I'm not sure there is much we can do to stop it. I'm pretty sure there's stuff we can do to stop it. He said social media consumers must pay attention to the accounts they are reading, and if the account is brand new, has a weird name, a few posts, and is commenting on politics in Canada while being from another country, odds are the account is a bot. So we got all that. But then there's also this CBC article on it. I didn't want to read the whole article. It's covering a lot of the same territory, but I just wanted to mention, like, this is how absurd the whole thing was. So again, Charlie Angus, who is the MP from that region, suggested the Conservatives were behind the operation that has misfired. At least one account said they had to brave the cold to attend the rally in Kirkland Lake. This was done so badly where these bots were claiming they had to go through the cold northern Ontario at a time of a huge heat wave, Angus said. I think it made them look ridiculous. You think? You think? Yes, in Canada, it snowed 24/7, 365. That's Canada. Yeah. We're so known for our cold that during the Winter Olympics in Calgary, they actually had to ship snow to it. Yay, climate change. So I'm just going to take a peek in the sandbox, make sure I'm not missing anything important before I kind of start blending in other elements of this, because we have Elon Musk and we also have Jordan Peterson and how they kind of cross-pollinate each other to make a stinkweed of a situation. Let's see. Oh, got lots of people commenting. That's nice. Crouchity saying that frickin' Poilievre supposedly cozy up with Diagolon. Yeah, I've covered that before. I was thinking, like, do I cover it this time? Because more things keep on coming out about it. But yeah, Diagolon is a right-wing radical extremist group. Really one of the worst of the worst. And members of Diagolon threatened to SA Pierre's wife. But then Pierre went getting all cozy with them on a trailer that one of them had with their symbols right on the trailer for anyone to see. And he had stopped at a blockade that they had set up or something near the border of Nova Scotia and New Brunswick, and to give them his support and stuff. Really sad and pathetic stuff. Oh, Voshman wondering who Pierre Poilievre is. So he is the leader of the Federal Conservative Party, and we run the chance of him being the next Prime Minister of Canada. So I think I caught some things while scrolling up to this. The way it works here in Canada is you don't run to be prime minister. The party runs to be in the lead, and whoever the figurehead of that party is, selected by that party, will then become the prime minister. So, like Justin Trudeau isn't running to be prime minister. The Liberals are running to win, and he happens to be their figurehead and would be prime minister. So nobody can just kind of jump in the race and be like, yeah, I want people to vote for me to be prime minister. That's not how it works up here. Pros and cons to it, of course. I actually talked about this with Mike from the Humanist Report last Wednesday on my channel. Talked a little bit more about the dynamics of a parliamentary system compared to a presidential system. Because there are lots of people I would love to see in charge of this country, but if they run as an independent, it's never going to happen. Like, their one vote is one vote, and that's it. The prime minister has no unilateral power. Like, everything has to be done within the code's restrictions of what the government is allowed to do, what the party votes on, all that sort of stuff. Like, Poilievre says that he wants to use the notwithstanding clause to kind of nuke human rights, the rights that we have under the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. And even then, the party still has to vote for it. He can't just sign it. The party would have to vote for that clause to be enacted. So, let's see. BKK, there's no way anyone is fired up for Poilievre, lol. Yeah. Let's see, let's see. Crotchety wondering if Ryan Trumbull is the guy that Trudeau boxed and beat in the exhibition fight for charity. I'll check. I don't know off the top of my head. I know that there's pictures of him doing the boxing thing from a long time ago, but I'm trying to use in the tweets and stuff, like I'm trying to use more politicians' names just so again Canadians can get familiar with who exactly runs our country. Let's see. Da, 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 da. Voshman saying we lost our 14th Amendment challenge in the US, but if Canada has rules against foreign support for the campaign from the from form of bots and disqualifies him that way. They're going to start probably launching investigations into it, but it's really hard to kind of prove it. But you know, if they can find a connection to some of the finances that Pierre Poilievre was spending on like IT support and found that some of that money went towards these bot farms, then yeah, he can get in a lot of trouble for that. But yeah, our federal election system is kind of, you know, one step away from the government to help ensure that is fair and balanced, no matter who's running and that sort of thing. So we have a lot more guidelines when it comes to fundraising for politicians and all that sort of stuff. Of course, they always find ways around, but we at least have that infrastructure in place. Crotchety, 1 month later, and I'm still buzzing from the rally. Oh. Let's see, Gunstroke the Cybertonian. We've still got a long way to go, but we're making progress in the FTC branch here in the US. After all, Robald Reagan left us mess corporate greed for decades now. Yeah. I still haven't seen anybody tell me what pickleball is, and I will believe the first thing I see and only the first thing I see on it. Judith is saying it's fun. Are you talking about pickleball? Is pickleball fun? Trevor says pickleball is very popular in Ottawa. That's not telling me what. Oh, Judith, it's like tennis with a wiffle ball. Wiffle ball? What's a wiffle ball? I have no idea. I'm like losing my Canadian credentials right here. Boschman saying pickleball is like a combination of tennis and ping pong. I used to play it a lot in the middle school as a sport. Isn't that badminton? Are you guys talking about badminton? Is pickleball badminton? Oh. So Grand Theft Autobot pickleball is like tennis but with a large flat paddle and some kind of plastic ball. I saw a local news story a while ago about how loud it is for neighbors who don't play. It's kind of like badminton then, I would imagine, or like ping pong. Well, I guess ping pong you have the flat things and it's a pop pop pop. Anyway, crotchety. I bring my snow jacket to the beach. That's what weather is like in Canada. Not sarcasm. Actually, it's been very cool the past couple days here, which is so nice. So nice. You know, you can sleep, have the window open, get a cool breeze in, and actually sleep at a decent temperature. And when you go out for a walk, you're not melting right away. Oh, love it. But I wouldn't say it's cold enough to have to wear a jacket or anything. That's or it's still pretty warm out. Judith asking favorite Star Trek episode. Oh, you gotta narrow it down. Are we talking like the original, TNG, Deep Space Nine, Picard? There's just saying Star Trek episode. It's a bit much. Uh, Grand Theft Autobot. Isn't Diagolon kind of the Canadian equivalent of the Proud Boys? Well, the Proud Boys is the Canadian equivalent of the Proud Boys. The Proud Boys was started by Canadians. um, I'm trying to think like what the American comparison to Diagolon would be, and I'm not entirely sure. It's hard to say because not all of our right-wing extremist groups line up. Like you can say this is that one and whatnot. Um, yeah, I'd have to put more thought into it. Boschman, do you think we can disqualify Pierre based on those laws? Considering what a lot of the politicians have already gotten away with, no. It would have to get so bad to the point where the party actually steps in and tells him that he needs to go and holds a leadership convention. Okay, more people talking about pickleball now. Just, it sounds kind of cute. Pickleball. Pickleball at the pickle barrel. So part of the reason why these bot farms are probably becoming a little bit more common is that Twitter is falling apart. See, I have a soft spot for Twitter. Twitter really did open up my world when I first got onto it. So I'm very much attached to it. And even I have been lately kind of getting run down on the platform. Like I never realized I would have to block so many anti-trans folks, rape apologists, racist, bigoted people that are just so out in the open about their hatred. Just so much. It's such a cesspool. It's a hostile fart sauna. But I still kind of have like this hope deep down that something is about to break. Like it's the sense in me that something in Twitter is about to break. And Elon will either just completely give up or the other shareholders in it will just say, no, we're done. Like, give it back to us or it just completely goes away. And I don't want Twitter to go away because there still isn't an equivalent platform out there yet. Like I know Blue Sky is still building up, but there's nothing that can really replace what Twitter is at this moment. Not to mention like all the networks and everything and connections that people have already made on there would go away. Should Twitter just go away? Like I said, like even starting on my Blue Sky account, nowhere near all the people that I'm connected to on Twitter are on Blue Sky. And even those that I am connected to on Twitter that are on Blue Sky, a lot of them aren't following me there, just haven't gotten around to it, haven't thought of it, for a litany of reasons. So I have, Twitter is my jam. It really helped me open up my world when I first got onto it. And I get this sense it's about to break. That it is about to break. And I hope that it breaks in such a way that it breaks Elon, that he just runs away crying, that he just throws his hands up in the air. But I'm sure, as I'm often late to a lot of the stories, I'm sure a lot of you have already seen on leftist shows, advertise on Twitter or we'll sue you. So here's Elon Musk saying, we tried peace for 2 years. Now it's war. War. And this is from Linda Yaccarino. She's the CEO. So Elon Musk is the owner. He had to kind of step aside from being the CEO. And Linda Yaccarino became the CEO. And she gave this like 1984 esque type video about, you know what, you advertisers, you need to start coming back to us. It's like playing a boombox outside of the window saying, "Come back, or else we'll burn the house down with you in it."
Hey, everybody. I was shocked by the evidence uncovered by the House Judiciary Committee that a group of companies organized a systematic illegal boycott against X. It is just wrong, and that is why we are taking action. Today, we filed an antitrust lawsuit against the Global Alliance for Responsible Media. 4 of its key members.
I definitely, act very natural when I freeze my upper half of the body and only nod my head to make a point, and then use exaggerated hand motions to convey what I am saying. This is a natural, totally normal video. This is not weird. This is not weird.
And the World Federation of Advertisers. These organizations targeted our company and you, our users. The evidence and facts are on our side. They conspired to boycott X, which threatens our ability.
Okay, I gotta know, in the teleprompter she's reading, are these hand motions actually included? Like, she's reading it, and then in brackets it's like, put your hand out like a bird is about to land on it. Okay, now point at the screen and cover your face while you're doing it. Now do the Trump motion of just generic whatever. Like, I'm wondering, is this actually in the teleprompter that she's reading? Because, my hand motions are always just so natural. I talk with my hands a lot, but it looks very artificial what she's doing.
To thrive in the future. That puts your global town square, the one place that you can express yourself freely and openly, at long-term risk. People are hurt when the marketplace of ideas is constricted. No small group of people should be able to monopolize what gets monetized. This group.
No small people should be able to monopolize what gets monetized. Oh, I have some bad news about capitalism. It's funny how, capitalists love capitalism until it kind of, doesn't work in their favor.
Is no match for the power of our users.
Also, this whole mama free speech necklace going on there, come on.
All of you, the very same users that have driven usage of X to all-time highs.
Wait, why was she X? Oh, I guess because when you shrink this down, you see the X in the corner. So when you go like X, she's pointing to the X that you're seeing off screen. Ooh, savvy.
I joined X because I believe in the power of the global town square. It's users like you, people of all backgrounds and opinions, who make X indispensable. You deserve an open platform where your views can be expressed without restriction and without fear. To all of you who have been part of this transformative journey that we're on, thank you. Rest assured, X has never been more committed to innovating and expanding all of our global town square.
Innovating and expanding. Innovating and exploiting. But you see, like, here's the thing, that they can't really get mad at advertisers for not wanting to advertise. And it's all, again, like Elon is actually threatening to sue advertisers for not advertising on his platform. Like, it's a slight to him, which it is, because he has made this place such a cesspool of bots and hatred, and like people go on there and they get threatened, like actually threatened and harassed and all this sort of stuff. Like, he's made it a place normal people don't want to be on. Only weird people want to be on it. Like, for me to say that I want to be on it is it's not so much that I want to be on it. It's that it's part of my profile. It's part of how I advertise and stuff. And so part of me doesn't want to be on it anymore because of how bad it's gotten. But part of me has to be on it in order to promote my content, to connect with other creators, to know what's happening in the news and see what politicians are saying and all that sort of stuff. Like the beautiful things that Twitter was. Because I've already showed you a couple tweets from actual politicians. And it's a great way for them to connect with people, to banter, to humanize them to some aspect. And what Twitter has become is totally erasing all of that because all the authentic tweets from authentic people are getting drowned out in this noise of bots and racist hatred. And, you know, he talks about like, oh, free speech, you should be free to say whatever you want. And then you have so many Twitter accounts with the N-word incorporated into it. And yet if you say cisgendered, that goes against their freedom of that you're not allowed to do. You can't say cisgendered, which isn't a slur. But that can get your account suspended. But you can say N-word all you want. But you see, part of the reason why he can't really cry over this, but he is, it's because he actually said this a long time ago.
You hope, don't advertise.
You don't want them to advertise?
No.
What do you mean?
If somebody's going to try to blackmail me with advertising, blackmail me with money, go f yourself.
But
Go f yourself.
You see, all those advertisers are now currently fucking themselves and enjoying it. You got nothing to say. You told them to F off. Well, they F'd off and found out. I don't know.
Is that clear?
Yeah, it is.
I hope it is.
It's very clear.
Hey, Bob, if you're in the audience.
well, let me ask you then.
That's how I feel. Don't advertise.
You hope.
Don't advertise.
I think he made it very clear. He F'd around and now he's finding out that when you tell people, like, it's this shock, like, no, I was trying to look strong by saying, you know, it'd be like me saying, you know what, just screw all of you. Nobody subscribe to my channel. Nobody subscribe to my channel. No, don't. Why are you, stop subscribing to my channel? And then I'm supposed to act surprised when people stop subscribing to my channel. Whatever you do right now, I don't want to see a single super chat pop up in the sandbox. I don't want to see it. Don't do it. It's like this thing, like he's daring them not to do it just so that they do it to prove that, oh, we're not listening to you. We'll do it anyway. It doesn't work like that. And like I said, I better not see a single super chat in the sandbox today. It's like he dared them not to advertise on his show, and they took the dare. Like, it's just, what company wants to be associated with just the hateful rhetoric and everything that is being spewed on that platform right now with all the bots? Like, how are you supposed to compete and advertise when it's mostly bots watching it, when you're competing against bots for attention, when, you know, your advertising dollars just kind of get lost in the swarm of, you know, black bot flies, you know? It's and he keeps on changing things that make the platform worse. And he does these changes solely to protect him and his ilk. Like the whole hiding what people like. To me, that's frustrating because that used to help me get a sense of who somebody was. You know, if somebody wanted me on their YouTube show, or I was trying to connect with somebody, or I was investigating someone, I could go to their likes and kind of see, like, get a grasp as to who these people are. Or sometimes if there's somebody that I follow, I want to see what they're liking because that might be something important for me to know. And so there is actual, like, real good use to being able to see what other people like or just to see like, oh, this person tweeted about this other person. Does this other person know about it? To see, oh, yeah, they liked it. Okay, so they know this good positive thing was said about them or something. Like it was a tool that he took away because too many people were saying, hey, you're liking all these horrible things. Look, you're liking all these Nazi accounts. And Elon was one of those people who was liking those Nazi accounts. Case in point, we'll begin to an example of that in the very near future. Um, so one of the people who spews a lot of horrid stuff on Twitter is Jordan Peterson. Yeah, he is back before Elon, the Elon era. He was actually banned from Twitter because of how bad his stuff was. And then he got back on, and it's just been a mess, a mess. And I just realized I should probably check the sandbox again before I kind of... I'm still working on these transitions into new segments and stuff, but I remembered I should look at the sandbox and give you guys all the attention, because when I was doing the show with Mike, I totally got distracted and didn't do that and just kind of cold cut the show. And I like interacting with you guys. Grand Theft Autobot, or explode in a cloud of pickled debris and pickled juice upon being struck by the paddle. You were saying they tried using actual pickles once, but they abandoned the idea quickly after they realized pickles as the ball didn't so much bounce as go squish. It would smell really bad too, I'd imagine. Jar, why do her hand gestures feel like stage directions written by AI? Yeah, it's like taking your drama instructions by AI, that's going to be the future. You're no longer going to be taught by humans, you're going to be taught by AI. And so AI in your drama class will be like, this is how you audition for a part in a YouTube video. It is important to emphasize words with your hand. Boschman saying it's bad for Elon, though, if he has to sue his advertisers to get money out of him. He isn't doing so well. Yeah, it's like, you know what? I'm going to sue all you people who are watching this right now for all the free labor I'm providing you. Like, it's just like, that's kind of how low and petty it is, to be like, yeah, no, I'm actually now going to sue YouTube and Google for not paying me nearly enough for the labor I do for them, which is kind of true. But it's like, yeah, but it's not even on that level, because I almost have an argument there to sue like YouTube and Google. There's almost an argument there. That they're not paying me worth my labor, because the amount of hours that I put into here, I'm free, and they get to advertise on videos that I don't make money from because maybe they've demonetized them or something of that sort, but they're still making money on them. But what Elon is doing would be more the equivalent of me just saying, I'm going to sue all you people watching right now for not giving me super chats, which I have already said previously, I don't want any of you to send me. Like, that's the level this is at right now. It's so ridiculous. Like, here's a hint, Elon. If you want advertisers to be on your platform, then make it a platform advertisers want to be on. It's not that difficult. It really isn't. You just have to get rid of the Nazis, get rid of the bigots, get rid of the hateful phobes, the TERFs, the anti-transers, all of them. Just get rid of that, and a beautiful garden will bloom in its wake. Crotchety, systematic illegal boycott against X, which is violates antitrust. Nah, collusion is a thing, but corporations are people. Aren't people allowed free speech? Let's see. Ah, it jumped. It jumped. Yes, people realizing I did have that clip available of Elon saying, "No, go F yourself, advertisers. I don't need you. I don't need you, advertisers. You need me. I don't need you." It's I'll be fine. I'll be fine without you. Just go away, advertisers. I'll be fine. I'll be okay with it. Like you're the ones that are going to suffer without me. That's you're the ones that will hurt. You're going to miss me more than I will miss you, advertisers. Please come back. Grand Theft Autobot, she was both speaking and doing amateur interpretive dance. I do interpretive dance with my eyebrows. BKK, does Elon even have fans anymore? I'm not on X, so maybe my perspective is skewed, but I really don't see rabid defense of his anymore. On Twitter, yeah, there's still a rabid defense of him because he has a lot of his sycophants on there, who are still trying to get his attention and things of that sort. But outside of it, since the companies he runs are starting to really suffer and go down, he's not as liked anymore because he's not bringing fortune to his companies, and that is like the biggest no-no a rich person can do is hurt other rich people. Okay, so yeah, back to Jordan Peterson, who is a fan, one of those fans of Elon Musk, actually. And this has been like a year-long thing because he is a doctor, or used to be, a clinical psychiatrist. And here in Ontario, you're part of a board. And when you're part of like the College of Psychologists here in Ontario, you have certain standards you need to meet. You can't go around on different shows and use your accreditation to then say really horrible things that kind of go against the principles of what that college is. And Peterson's like, nah, I'm going to do it anyway. And so he got in trouble and they threatened to take it away unless he goes to like media education. And so I just want to compare and contrast two media outlets on how they have now covered it, because Jordan Peterson was so upset by this that he wanted it to go to the Supreme Court after the appeals court was like, no, you're stupid. No, you're weird. You're weird. You can't go on and do this. You're making your whole profession look bad by going onto Twitter and saying these horrible, horrible things. And so let's compare and contrast. So first we have the CBC. Now, people like Jordan Peterson and Pierre Poilievre want to completely defund the CBC, which is funded by government money, but it's not it's not a mouthpiece for the government. It's a mouthpiece of like the establishment and the status quo. Like there's lots and lots of criticisms about the CBC, but I do feel the CBC is an important institute that, to have a media outlet that is funded by the government, to make sure that there's always one news outlet that has the money to actually go and cover the bigger stories. Because a lot of independent people, they don't have the time or resources to cover a lot of things. And so I do feel CBC as an institute is important. However, they are massively flawed. Especially in their bias when it comes to what's happening over in Gaza and stuff of that sort. They're really biased, flawed, very establishment status quo. But here we have Jordan Peterson agrees to social media coaching after Supreme Court declines free speech case. College of Psychologists of Ontario called commentators' social media posts degrading. Polarizing psychologist Jordan Peterson now says he will attend the social media training he was ordered to undergo by his professional body after Canada's top court refused to hear his appeal, according to his lawyer. So that's how the CBC covered this. Now we have in Canada another very popular outlet called the National Post. Let's make this bigger for you guys to see. And this is when I was talking to Mike from the Humanist Report, I was kind of saying, you know, if these were like right wingers, the National Post would be like Ben Shapiro and the Toronto Star would be like Steven Crowder. So the National Post is very much like a Ben Shapiro vibe to it. And this is what they had to say about the exact same story. Jordan Peterson to attend remedial coaching program after Canada's top court nixes appeal. The author and former University of Toronto professor has not had an active clinical practice since 2017, but remains a member of the College of Psychologists of Ontario. Jordan Peterson will be attending re-education training after Canada's top court closed the door on his legal fight against an order that he enter remedial coaching program. This remedial coaching program is re-education training. And again, he's not being forced to. He says he will attend it. He has agreed to attend it so that he can stay part of this organization, because being part of these organizations is not, you know, they can kick you out if you say things that go against their principles. That's not a free speech thing. Free speech is more like the government can't go after you for certain things. But in Canada, as we always have to point out, even to Canadians and Americans alike, we don't have free speech. We have freedom of expression, you know, freedom to rally and all this sort of stuff. But there's hate speech laws here in Canada, and Jordan was kind of, you know, dipping his toe in the water of that. But you know, if he's part of the College of Ontario Psychologists and they feel that what he's doing makes their organization looks bad, then yeah, they can kick him out, or they can say, well, you have to go to this media seminar so that you can actually, you know, maybe not make us look like horrid people. And so let's just go over a little bit of this. In 2022, the governing body for Ontario psychologists told Peterson, who has gained international fame with his views on women, masculinity, and gender identity, to undergo a social media training program or risk losing his license to practice. Now, keep in mind, he has no active clients right now. He hasn't for a long time. And part of the reason why he doesn't want to lose his license is that's the only thing that gives him any sort of credibility. When he goes on to these other shows, he can say, oh, well, I'm a psychologist, so that way, you know, what I say actually means something. Even if I'm talking about something that has nothing to do with my field, because I'm a licensed psychologist. Therefore, what I say is valid and you need to listen to me. The College of Psychologists of Ontario says some of his social media posts may be degrading, raise questions about his abilities as a psychologist, and risk bringing the profession into dispute. And that's why he needs to tamper things down. Peterson, who has been a registered member of the College of Psychologists, that is a choice right there. He is choosing to be part of this organization. So he is choosing to do this and then go against the rules of this organization. If he doesn't like the rules of the organization, then you don't join that organization. And if that means you don't get your license as a psychologist, so be it. That's life. That's the world. There are terms that I have to follow on YouTube. I can't go and play the recent most popular music. I can't show the Olympics happening, even though there's some things I would love to be able to comment on. But there's certain things that I can't do because there are rules on YouTube that I, as a creator, have to follow when I come onto this platform. And I can't come onto this platform and then whine about free speech that I'm not allowed to show you the pole vaulter who lost because his dick got in the way. It's just, you know, this is, if I don't like those terms and agreements, then I don't have to be on this platform. You know, there's other platforms out there available to me. Like Rumble, I could go on Rumble, you know, be a left to left type person, but be it like in a duplicitous way. So I'd be like, I would go on Rumble and be like, oh yeah, I totally left left. Uh-huh. Yep, totally, totally. And then do like all the socialist talking points possible, but kind of say, I'm so right wing, I think everyone should have free healthcare. There's no reason why I can't do that. I am so right wing. I think people should be allowed to make their own decisions about what happens to their bodies. That's how right wing I am. Total libertarian attitude right there. Kind of, yeah. In one of the social media posts in question, Peterson refers to then city councilor who uses they them pronouns as appalling self-righteous moralizing thing. Not very professional to say. And as somebody who's non-binary, yeah, that language is appalling. As somebody who's supposed to be a professional psychologist, like that's the thing. And this is part of the reason why the College of Psychologists has issues about this sort of thing, is that when somebody who's maybe non-binary needs help, and they see somebody at the College of Psychologists publicly making comments like this, then it really does discourage them from wanting to go and seek that help that they maybe probably definitely need. And so this, on the surface level, he might scream about it being a free speech thing, but it can be a life-changing, life-saving situation when it comes to this particular field. It'd be like if you saw doctors talking about like anti-vaxxing, which happens, and or that you should do these naturopathic things, that, you know, you don't need surgeries for these sorts of things. You just kind of drink salt water and it will go away and all that sort of stuff. If you saw a doctor say that and then say, you know, they're never going to treat these types of people for these types of things, then when you need actual help, how safe would you feel going to them, to doctors? If you actually need help after you've heard all that sort of stuff, how safe would you feel going to the ER if they were openly, publicly saying horrendous things like this? You know, there are some professions where, you know, psychology can help people, you know, it ebbs and flows. It's not for everyone, but for some people, it really does help. For some people, it doesn't, but for those people, it helps. Some of them might be discouraged from going because of what Jordan Peterson is saying. The College Complaints Committee noted that during an appearance on the Joe Rogan Experience podcast, Peterson identified himself as a clinical psychologist. So that's where he's using his title, his accreditation, to give him more credibility before demeaning a former client. Now that is really bad. Like, they're not supposed to be demeaning. They shouldn't be saying anything about former clients. Like, that is very unprofessional right there. Last summer, an Ontario court ruled against Peterson and upheld the regulatory body's order for him to undergo training on professionalism in public statements. That decision was affirmed by a panel of 3 judges with the Ontario Court of Appeal earlier this year. As usual, the Supreme Court of Canada did not explain why it won't hear Peterson's case. It was dismissed with costs. Peterson says, their gloves are off. Peterson's lawyer, Hewitt Levitt, called the decision a tragic day for Canada. Every day that Jordan Peterson talks is a tragic day for Canada. It seems ironic, even tragic, that one of the most adept persons in social media in this country and beyond is going to attend a re-education from the people inherently less skilled and knowledgeable than he is himself, Levitt wrote in an email to CBC News. That's a whole lot of moose poo right there. He is not more knowledgeable and skilled than a lot of the people that are in that. Just saying. That's a lot of, he's full of a lot of moose poo. Moose poo! That's what he's full of. The decision is a tragedy for freedom of speech in this country. Again, Canada. Freedom of expression. You know, I actually fall into the category of I don't think all speech should be Twitter. You know, I don't think what's happening on Twitter should be allowed in the general public square. I don't think people should be allowed going around saying genocides are good or the N-word or saying horrible homophobic, transphobic things. I don't think people should be allowed to do that. Especially in areas that are public and people who are being targeted would use. Levitt, an employment lawyer, said the decision will have a chilling impact on Canadians who are members of regulated trades and professions. So all those other people who optionally go into the regulated trades and professions, oh no, who have already seen the rules and agreed to them. Now they have to concern themselves with political and other enemies making complaints to the regulatory bodies over their political comments, with the risk of their ability to practice their trade. Most simply will avoid debate entirely. Now the thing is that a lot of what Jordan Peterson was saying wasn't just about politics. Like, he was personally targeting and attacking individuals, specific individuals. He told one person that they can go, well, he didn't say directly, but it was a strong suggestion that if he didn't like the world, he could leave it. Like, this is the type of thing that Jordan Peterson was doing. How does, you know, referring to the doctor that worked on Elliot Page as a butcher, that's not politics. That is just personal, derogatory, defamatory attacks on somebody. To misgender Elliot Page, that is nothing to do with politics. That is just being a horrible asshole. And to say that he can say it because he's a psychologist, it just, no, this isn't about politics specifically. It's about his conduct and the horrible personal attacks and the way that he's making other people in his profession look bad. Peterson posted on social media platform X that he's bereft of options on the legal front in Canada. This is a hill that's worth not so much dying on as retaking, and now, boys and girls, the gloves are off. The gloves are off. You know, somebody who speaks with a Kermit the Frog voice shouldn't be saying something about the gloves are off or anything. Oh no, I'm thinking Mickey Mouse. Mickey Mouse is the one with the gloves all the time. Anyway. Eagle Canada, which has inventor status in the case, celebrated Thursday's Supreme Court decisions. It says 2S LGBTQ plus communities can face discrimination in accessing healthcare. This is why a clinical psychologist making transphobic, discriminatory, and false claims is particularly harmful and directly interferes with trans people's safety and autonomy, said the national advocacy group legal director, Bennett Jensen, in a media statement. Psychologists belong to a group of professions that act as gatekeepers to gender-affirming healthcare, and they must be held accountable to specific standards of professionalism. Case raised freedom of expression issues. The year-long case has raised broader questions about the freedom of expression and whether the college is overstepping its authority by penalizing the controversial psychologist over how he expressed his opinions. By seeing a plus-size model on Sports Illustrated and saying, sorry, not my type, nobody can ever say that this person is beautiful, blah, blah, blah. That is his opinion, true, but he's saying it while still trying to say that he's doing this from the perspective of being a psychologist. It's just, no. Because then what happens if people who are struggling with their body image need to see a psychologist or need to get help from a psychologist in order to get certain surgeries done? Like, this has a big effect on people. Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre has posted his support of Peterson, and there we have it. The 3 peas in a pod. Elon, Jordan, and Pierre. All happy together. It circles right back around to Pierre Poilievre. So, of Peterson, who rose to prominence through controversial YouTube video critiquing liberal culture and self-help books. Poilievre took to X the day after the Supreme Court's decision to criticize the ruling. So here we have Pierre Poilievre saying, another government bureaucracy threatens to ban Canadians from practicing his profession because he expressed political opinions the state doesn't like. Now they force him to undergo political re-education. Bring home free speech for Jordan Peterson and everyone else. And that's the National Post article that I had popped up on screen earlier. So full circle here with Pierre, Jordan, and Elon. But you see, how was I wanting to, the order that I wanted to do this in? Yeah. So here we have another Liberal MP, Minister of Justice and Attorney of Canada, saying, what government bureaucracy? And he's replying directly to that tweet from Pierre Poilievre. Our nation's independent Supreme Court, or a self-regulated body that sanctions one of its members? Garbage like this insults Canadian intelligence. Stop cheapening political discourse and undermining independence of our courts, Pierre. So basically, I'm not entirely sure how to say this MP's name, is saying that, like, not only is it bad enough that Pierre is going to bat for Jordan in such a horrible way, but he's misrepresenting what our institutes do, how they work, how they function, because our nation's independent Supreme Court. This isn't a government bureaucracy that threatens to ban Canada from practicing his profession. It's a self-regulated body that is threatening to ban him from practicing his profession, one which he doesn't have any clients for. He's not actually practicing. He's just using it to get some credibility when he's on other shows. And the serfs also point out, shout out to the serfs, who I am totally not beefing with, as some people seem to think. Sometimes a sense of humor just doesn't land well. So the serf says, Jordan Peterson does not practice psychology, has no active clients, rejects every major medical association findings on gender-affirming care, targets, vilifies, and dehumanizes trans people daily, told someone to kill themselves, posted cock-milking fetish porn to his audience. Yeah. And that's the type of person that Pierre Poilievre is going to bat for. Just oh, wait a sec, what's this here? Totally not planned to look at. The next tweet. I wonder why Pierre Poilievre would be maybe going to bat for someone like Jordan Peterson. So this is a tweet that he sent out on August 9th. This is an August 9th tweet. This is a tweet he sent out on August 9th. We will make things here again. Our workers on our soil, under our flag. This is what it means to bring it home. That's a interesting turn of phrase there, on our soil. This is our workers on our soil, under our flag. And this is something he tweeted out on the 9th of August, which just happens to be the same day all these people tweeted this out. My name is whatever, at 43 years, in 88 days, I will be voting for Donald Trump and J.D. Vance. Who's with me? Another person, my name is Joey. I'm 30 years old. In 88 days, I'll be voting for Donald Trump and JD Vance. Who's with me? My name is Chaya. I'm 29 years old. In 88 days, I'll be voting for Donald Trump and JD Vance. Who's with me? And another person who's totally real says in 88 days, they'll be voting for Donald Trump and Vance. And all of these were sent out on the 9th. The same day that Pierre is talking about our workers on our soil. The whole, yeah, there's a whistle. You hear that? That's the whistle. That little. That's the best I actually can whistle. Yeah, that's a little bit of a thing there. But speaking of one of those 29-year-olds who in 88 days, that's just a odd number to want to bring attention to. It's Chaya Rychek, and again, just full circles going on here, because if we scroll down, Elon Musk with fire emojis talking about the 88 days until election. Is it any wonder why Jordan, Elon, and Pierre are just so cozy together? Just 3 toxic peas in a bot farm? Just full circle right there. Another full circle. But here is a tweet thread from Rachel Gilmore, an independent journalist here in Canada, and she does amazing work. Follow her if you're still on the hostile fart sauna. And this is from a while ago. So from January 2023, January 6, 2023, Jordan Peterson uploaded a document with screenshots of complaints made against him to the College of Psychologists. The first allegation is that he, a licensed psychologist, made a joke about suicide directed to someone on Twitter. Here's what else it shows. Strap in. And so she just goes over a whole bunch of the evidence as to why he should probably lose his license. So a tweet from Peterson during the Freedom Convoy when he opined Children's Aid didn't need to get involved. Psychologists have to report when a child is in need of protection. The complaint alleges the tweet undermined public trust in Peterson's judgment in this regard. These screenshots summarize documents college looked at while investigating him, including tweets and Joe Rogan appearances. They also show a summary of the college's key concerns, which include whether he was sharing fake info and tweeting harassment abuse. Complaints on Joe Rogan's podcast. It argues JP is undermining his profession by pontificating on areas well outside of his area of competence. The complaint calls Peterson's comments problematic, unethical, or unprofessional, and raises concerns about his mental health. It's worth noting that it appears Peterson added his own commentary above many of these complaints, saying many of the people filing them falsely claimed to be clients of his. Throughout this document, we also see a lot of tweets about Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's former top aide, Gary Butts. In a screenshot, Peterson calls Butts, I don't know what that is, and a stunning corrupt, and tells him to watch himself. Oh, that's probably prick. Supposed to be prick. There's also notes from interesting conversation. It appears to be between licensed psychologist, name redacted, and case manager of the College of Psychologists. In it, the caller says that if they did 1/10 of what Peterson has, people would be all over me, and more, and more, and more, and more, and more. Huh. Too long, didn't read. Jordan Peterson has made explosive allegations. He's being re-educated for political views, but the screenshots paint a very different picture. One concern he might harm the mental health of people he tweets about, at or about. What do you think? I think, yeah, that's a problem. That is a problem. Full circle right there. Oh, just 3 peds in a toxic bot pod. Well, let's check the sandbox. So a couple people have had to sign off for the day. Hope you catch the rest of the stream later. Thank you so much for coming out. Let's see. Looney Tunes 9000 at Grand Theft Autobot. So Autobot says first, then I will not be yoked by Big Daddy's advertisers. Go fuck yourself now. Oh, yoke me, Big Daddy advertisers, please yoke me. And Looney Tunes saying to Grand Theft Autobot, if Elon Musk went on Hell's Kitchen and fucked up a dinner service, Gordon Ramsay would surely kick his ass out like this. Hey, you don't take it off and fuck off. We'll see who cancels who, woke Morris, says Grand Theft Autobot. I to you too, Bob. Oh, how was it that you say your name? Was it Trish? Bob Trish? Trisk? Trish? I also see Shemagli in the chat, and I still want to say Shemagli, but it's Shemagli. Let's see. Looney Tunes 9000 is saying the Olympics are over. I know, but I do have a little bit of a story to touch on about that first. Crotchety, some articles pointed out that healthcare providers should not be presenting hateful speech as well as presenting misinformation or disinformation. Yeah, that would make sense. Looney Tunes 9000. Oh, bloody hell, I am not a doctor. I'm a crazy woke mega Canadian supporter. Is it possible, like, you know, I think about the future when people look back at this era in history, that they will actually think like people really spoke like Donald Trump, because it's almost like you can't quote Donald Trump without going into like some sort of voice. And it's the same with Jordan Peterson. Like you can't quote Jordan Peterson without doing some sort of weird voice, like he's talking to a helium tank or something of that sort. I'm glad Looney Tunes 9000 you like my Jordan Peterson voice. I better not see a super chat from somebody saying they like my Jordan Peterson voice. Oh. BKK, he's a grown man with an enormous platform. His rhetoric really puts marginalized communities in real harm. He doesn't have to speak on anything, but he profits from hate and fear. True. Monop says, I'm also terrible at whistling. Yeah, that's... That's the best I can do. I've never figured out. And then I know most people say that they suck in for whistling. Just nothing. Got nothing. Nothing. I can snap though. I don't know. I'm pretty sure some people can't snap. I can raise one eyebrow at a time, which is a non-auditory expression, but still. Crouchety, our soil? Bruh, did Poilievre get a A-OK from their First Nations? Yeah. There's just so much wrong with that statement. Crotchety, holy crap, they actually used 88 frickin' Nazi pundits. Yeah, that was the whole thing. Just so many accounts saying 88 days. Haha, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. And then just happens that Pierre Poilievre is also tweeting out that tweet saying, you know, our workers on our soil that same day. Same day. Just kind of weird how that works. Judith saying, if Pierre wins, I'm moving to Brooklyn. That's the thing. I don't know. If I had to move to another country, I don't know which country I would move to. Because they're all bad. They all have pros and cons. Okay, some have more cons than pros. But even with Pierre Poilievre in power, I would still feel safer in Canada than I would in the United States. And also, I would not be allowed to move to a lot of countries just given the fact that I live on disability, mental health issues. I wouldn't be allowed to immigrate to places. Let's see. Bob says that they can only whistle sucking in. Yeah, my mom was actually very good at doing the whole. Only she actually whistled as opposed to making a fart sound. Bob is saying I can always come to Mexico, except Mexico is really hot. I am not I like the cold. I like the cold. So that is one disqualifier right there. Plus, when you get down closer to the equator, the closer to the equator you get, the bigger the bugs get. I don't like that. I don't like the big bugs. Yeah, I'm a winter person, so that would have to be one thing right off the bat that any other country I move to would have to have a cold climate part of the year. So, oh, they were all my kitties. I just saw all my kitties together. Frodo, Abernathy, and Lanier. They're all just kind of standing outside of the room without coming in here to say hi to all of you. So maybe one of them will come in onto my lap and I can show them to the camera. But I still have a few more stories, not as detailed stories that I kind of want to touch on before I end today's stream. And I'm making good time because I really only want to be doing these for about 2.5 hours as opposed to like 4-hour long live streams because it takes a lot out of me. Grand Theft Autobot says I want to go to Norway. Again, pros and cons. Like I think they got a right-wing fascist government in right now, or there's a lot of issues around that over there too. But yeah, like Iceland, Greenland, Norway are all places. France, wouldn't mind checking out France. Ireland, maybe Ireland or Scotland would be a good place for me to go. I love those accents so much. Oh, those Scottish and Irish accents are just the sweetest things. Love those accents so much. So there's that, I suppose. Bob says that I live in the mountains, 80s, 50s, almost year round. You do know I'm Canadian, right? I'm a Canuck. We use Celsius up here. That means nothing to me. If you're going to be in the sandbox, you need to speak Canadian. Yes, any place I move to would have to have a cold climate part of the year, or all year would be nice for me. But one of the tricks too is the more northern you go, the longer the days will be in the summertime, and I don't like super long days. I'm just so picky, is what it is. But let's get on to some more Canadian news. So I'm going to do this.
Today in Canadian news.
I keep on forgetting to use that graphic, and I really love that graphic. I kind of keep on using it. So here, also, again, a reminder, you can see it right down here. New social media accounts, Left of the Box on Twitter and Blue Sky. Please go follow them so that I can get those built up and can move my bulk of politics over there so that when I'm liking things, I don't have to search through a bazillion things because I like a lot of things. So here we have RCMP arrests man in Ontario for allegedly making violent threats against Justin Trudeau. Let's see if I can look a little bit bigger for you. Does that still fit on the screen? Sort of, yep. Okay, so RCMP officers in Greater Toronto area have arrested a 33-year-old man for allegedly threatening Prime Minister Justin Trudeau in a video posted online. Now, I wanted to put these here because there's another one right here. I forgot to make these big ahead of time. Two Albertans accused of threatening to kill Trudeau, Freeland, and Singh. Men from Edmonton and Calgary are accused of threatening to kill some of Canada's top government leaders. Now, I want to bring this up because, again, it wasn't that long ago that the right was accusing people on the left of hateful rhetoric. That, this was around the time where somebody tried to assassinate Trump. And the right was then trying to blame all this hateful rhetoric on the left for causing that incident, which was not the case. Turns out the shooter was just looking for someone popular or a presidential candidate to go for, and Trump was convenient at the time. Neither here nor there, but they were just saying over and over again, just look at these crazy people on the left with all their horrid rhetoric and what that leads to, where far more often than not, this is where that hateful rhetoric, political rhetoric, is targeting. It is far, far more common for people on the right to be violently targeting people on the left. Hot take, I'm against assassinating politicians. I don't care who that politician is. I don't want to see them assassinated. I'm a soft-hearted lefty progressive for that take. I know, horrid. But I have criticisms about Trudeau, Freeland, and Singh. All three of them. I have strong criticisms again. I don't want to see them shot. I don't want to see them assassinated. I want to see them voted out. Like, I want our government to work in a way where they're voted out. But instead, especially on a platform like Twitter, where you have all this vitriol and rhetoric just free to go rampant and wild. And I know so many people say that Twitter's not the real world. Here, I'm just going to go back here. They say Twitter's not the real world, that the real world is out there. Most people aren't, part of these social medias. But the thing is that these social medias are the real world to enough people. That is where people get radicalized and then take their actions out on the real world. It's rare for somebody to not get radicalized somewhere else other than Twitter and YouTube and other online social media platforms. So it doesn't, this idea that Twitter isn't the real world, it is because it has real world consequences for a lot of people. When you have these platforms that spread this hatred and this vitriol all over the place, it has real world consequences for people. There are people who get targeted on these platforms, whose lives are put into upheaval, who are fired from jobs, especially when you look at Libs of TikTok and what they do and how she targets people. Just queer people living their lives, teachers and stuff, who then get targeted by these online hate campaigns. And it has real world implications because some of these people get targeted in real life. For me, Twitter is the real world. When I got onto Twitter, my world opened up and I learned so much more about myself. I made so many in-person connections with people. So this idea of saying that social media isn't the real world, it comes from a privileged place from people who have, connections and lives and people supporting them in the real world. Because not everyone has family and friends and groups and organizations that they can turn to in person. They rely on social media to make these connections, to reach out to others, to get help, because they can't find it in their community for whatever reason. They go there to connect and to find people that they can relate to and stuff. Twitter is the real world to a lot of people. And then we see these consequences of what happens when these platforms become hostile, hate-filled. This has real impacts on those people. It depresses me. My mood has drastically decreased since Elon has gotten hold of Twitter because of all the hatred and stuff that I'm constantly seeing on a daily basis. But there's so much good that I still see on Twitter. There's so much good Twitter still can provide. And it's an outlet I go to when I'm struggling in the real world. I've made connections on there. I've connected, like, I got Mike from the Humanist Report to come onto my show last Wednesday. How did I do that? I DM'd him on Twitter. Like, that's how it works. And so to see them taken over by these horrid people, again, I feel it deep in my gut, though, that something is about to break with Twitter. And Elon will no longer be in power with it, because all the people who do benefit from Twitter, like, and I mean the people who are on the corporation aspect of Twitter, all the people who benefit from there, I think are hitting their limit. And I get the feeling that in the very near future, Elon will no longer be in charge of Twitter. And I hope my gut is telling me that, and it's not just this false sense of hope to keep me going. But this is some of the outcomes of what happens when all of this hatred is allowed to run amok. You get people who are radicalized and targeting our political officials. And again, the vast majority of people who are targeted are on the perceived left, the left and the perceived left. Because Justin ain't so much on the left. He's kind of a little bit center right. And Jagmeet Singh, yeah, he's center left. But far more of the people who want to inflict violence are on the extreme right, or extremist right-wingers, that sort of thing. And this is what happens when that's just allowed to run amok. So over here, Tori, the lefty Canadian radical, wonderful person to follow on the hostile fart sauna. So she brought my attention to something that strikes a chord with me, hits me personally. So she's quote tweeting saying, "Oh, just to confront the 1%, why didn't anyone think of that before? ODSP is criminally low. Solidarity to this woman for advocating for better. The dodo in the pink shirt has more money than brains." And so ODSP's Ontario Disability Support Program, and it's people like me have to rely on on something that if you have to pay market rent with, it wouldn't even cover the entire rent of a one-bedroom apartment, which puts a lot of people who live on disability in precarious situations. We live in dire, dire poverty. And there's been a fight to just try to, can we please just get up to the poverty line? Like, we just want to be at the poverty line. We're not asking for luxuries. We just want to be able to pay for rent, groceries, medications, and things like internet, things that we need to get by on a day-to-day life. And so this is from here. Make sure I get this in. So this person here is from Global News Canada. The snarled traffic has provoked some angry responses. So let's back up just one more spot here. So ODSP protests tying up traffic at College and Yonge in Toronto. Police standing by, no traffic going through north or south. That's Isabel Gamick. So she is a disability rights advocate and having a protest.
Please, I got lots of issues and you're just making it worse. So go away. No, we're not going to. What are you talking about compromise? You mean we won't give in to your demands. You want us to give in your demands. Well, no. When you keep repeating it, it's not a compromise. I've already said no. Take my answer. Why do you think you're going to try to convince me into some other answer? Why do you think you have the right to try to force me into agreeing with you? What gives you that right? You know? Something else you'd like to offer instead? Yeah, I would like you to stand here with a sign. Grab a sign, stand here, hold up. You know, fight for the disabled and poor people. You know, don't fight for the 1% today. You know, but I ask you not to fight. You know, well, please. No, we're staying. You know what? No. No, we're not opening up 2 more lanes to keep one. We're blocking the whole thing here. If I had more people, we'd block that ourselves. No, we don't need you to talk again in a few minutes. See, this is intimidation tactics.
Now, this takes a lot of bravery to do, to snarl traffic like this. The sad thing is that doing something like this is the only time people with disabilities are seen, is when they become that much of an inconvenience. Because I've mentioned it on my channel plenty of times before. When we need to bring attention to our situations, people on disability, we can't just go on strike because we're already invisible. Nobody will see it. Like, what does going on strike do when we are already forced to be separate from a lot of the communities that we're in? Like, we're forced to not be able to participate in it because we live in such dire poverty that it isolates us. Like, poverty is a very isolating thing to live with. And so the only time that you can actually get seen and get heard is by inconveniencing, and that's all it is an inconvenience to some people in traffic. And she's in a very dangerous position because she can't defend herself if somebody decides to get violent with her or in her face. And people who use wheelchairs often suffer from other people just coming up to them and pushing them out of the way, like using their wheelchair to push them out of the way. Because even if they're walking down the sidewalk and somebody in a wheelchair is going to slow down the sidewalk, they'll push them out of the way instead of walking around. Like, the amount of horror stories I've heard from people who use wheelchairs and how disrespected they are by the general public is disgusting. Because there's no difference between taking somebody's wheelchair and pushing them out of the way than if you were to go up to grab somebody, pick them up, and move them over. It is assault. And so this is one of those people who was upset over her blocking traffic.
To the Ontario government, you should go after the corporations.
Oh yeah, that too.
No, go after them.
Well, yeah, we're talking about 1%.
Yeah, go after the 1%.
Yeah, so point that she made, we're going after the 1%. The 1% are corporations and the government. The vast majority of people who represent us in office are in the 1%. It's very, very difficult to get into government without being rich. And I said it before, I'll say it again. The most underrepresented group in office are people living with poverty. Pretty much nobody makes it to provincial or federal level office if they live with poverty. It's just, I can't think of a single one.
Senators, not a government that's built on your powers, even though the government might be failing you.
The government, the only ones that get elected are the ones that are backed up by the corporation.
Go after the 1%ers. Find the people that are doing.
What he probably doesn't realize is he might be part of, if not the 1%, the 10%. A lot of people who live with a certain amount of money often complain about, like, why don't you go after this group, without realizing that they're often part of that group. Because the stories they're told about how they're being, more money being taken away from them, or how they're having to struggle a bit more, well, they can't possibly be part of the 10%. And I think a lot of them would actually be shocked to find out they are.
This against you, not the Ontario government or Canadian government.
The Ontario government is doing it. They're the ones who
So what are you doing? Don't incite riots. Go after the 1%ers.
This isn't a riot.
What is she supposed to do? Like, he's upset. Like, go after all these other people. How? She's trying to bring attention to the situation, to the cause. This is like the only way she can. Like, what is she supposed to do? Just write into a corporation and be like, yeah, can I come in and see you and talk about this and have a good heart-to-heart, tete-a-tete? It's not going to happen. Even with most government officials, like, even if you get in to see your MP or MPP, you can say all you want to them and they'll sit there and nod their head, and most often will treat you with, a little bit of, I wouldn't even say respect. It's just standard, not disrespect, I guess. But as soon as you walk out of the office, it was like you were never there.
Well, okay, go protest in front of Minto.
We're doing it right here. We're protesting right here. This is why we're protesting.
Go protest where I want you to protest, where I can't see you.
This is what we're doing. Okay?
Go protest in front of
I'm
Intel,
doing-
Greenland, or any one of those companies about. So the Ontario government, you should go after the.
Now, another article that I connected to this because I think it's just good to know. So state of the street, police standing by. So police were watching this. People getting by, mad at, people trying to bring attention to their issues. So man crosses across the street, tells me police should arrest someone. He doesn't give his name. Tour bus can't get through. But I think this is important to know. What are your rights when filming the police? Because luckily the police didn't do anything negative here, but there's been lots of stories, and I've covered them sometimes, about police arresting journalists at the scenes of protests and rallies. And so this is from The T, and I think, just a little quick explainer as to, I've actually remembered to link this in the description box below so you can read the full article. But I think it's good for people to know what exactly are our rights when it comes to recording the police at protests and rallies. So here it is. Is it legal to record the police? In short, yes. Police officers working in the line of duty have no reasonable expectation of privacy, and you can record them. However, that comes with a couple of caveats. For one, the police need to be able to do their work. If you are getting in their way or posing a safety concern, you can be removed or charged with obstruction. Stay well back when witnessing or recording police actions and allow the officers to do their job. Next, if you are recording in a private or semi-private space, you may be asked to leave by the person responsible. In Know Your Rights, and this is a good thing to link to, it's a lot of pages and information and stuff, but it's a good thing for Canadians to just review. Know our rights when it comes to a lot of things, because we get mixed up with what our rights are and what American rights are, because we usually hear more about American rights than Canadian rights. Next, if you are recording in a private or semi-private space, you may be asked to leave by the person responsible. In Know Your Rights, a document produced by the Canadian Civil Liberties Association, the organization uses a hospital where patient privacy is important as one example of private space with public access where recording may be prohibited. Several court and police disciplinary decisions have affirmed that in public spaces, police cannot simply ask you to stop recording. The CCLA says, doing so would pose a significant abuse of authority. While there are situations where police will be able to dictate where people stand, there are very few circumstances when they can legitimately order you to stop photographing or filming on-duty police officers, it adds. Given your constitutionality protected rights to silence, you are under no obligation to answer police officers' questions or show them what you've recorded on your phone. That said, it may be easiest to share with them what you've captured, McGrady says, although that may lead to them wanting it as evidence, he cautions. What if I'm asked to delete cell phone video? Just as they can't stop you from recording, police also can't force you to delete cell phone footage when you've witnessed a police incident. In fact, deleting evidence of a crime could lead to obstruction charge. Allegations that RCMP officers in Prince George asked bystanders to delete video recordings during an arrest of Dale Clover, an Indigenous man who died soon after while in police custody, recently landed 2 police officers in court. Constable Arthur Dahlman and Sergeant, name I can't pronounce, Cruz, were charged last year with attempting to obstruct justice in relation to the July 2017 incident. Last week, BC Provincial Court Judge Adrian Brooks determined that Dahlman was guilty of attempting to obstruct justice after he lied under oath during his trial. He acquitted Cruz, saying that his testimonies raised enough reasonable doubt to dismiss the charge. Let's see. Can the police take my cell phone? If you have captured important evidence on your phone, there is a risk that police or other investigative bodies could seize your phone on the spot. At the trial for Dahlman and Cruz, RCMP Sergeant Staff Todd Crutch testified that it's standard procedure for phones containing photos or videos evidence to be seized and brought to the detachment for safekeeping in order to ensure continuity or integrity of the evidence. But police must have reasonable and probable grounds to believe it contains relevant evidence, and it doesn't mean they have unfettered access to your phone's contents. My advice is to say no and try to negotiate alternatives, McGrady says. Alternatives could include providing the files through email or text, or to ensure continuity, invite police to watch you open and send the files, or going with the officers to the detachment where you can observe them downloading the files you've agreed to share. You can also offer to provide your contact information and tell police you won't delete the videos so they can access it once they have a warrant, the CCLA suggests. Keep in mind that police are entitled only to evidence related to the offense you've witnessed. Just like when entering your home, police need a search warrant to legally access the contents of your cell phone. That means satisfying a judge that your device likely contains evidence of an offense and being precise about exactly what that evidence is. You should ask to see the warrant before granting access to your phone. Ideally, you should be there for every step of the process, McGrady says. He recommends telling police, I'm going to cooperate with you, but I'm not giving you my phone until you show me your warrant. Tell the police that you are willing to go with them before a judge as they apply for the warrant, then insist on being present when they examine the phones and access files specified in the warrant. Yeah, so please go read the whole article. Go read the Know Your Rights as well. That's linked to it. And yeah, just keep yourself informed. Know your rights when it comes to these sorts of things. So, update on the Greenbelt. So, RCMP interviewing witnesses in Ontario Greenbelt land swap scandal Premier's office.
Do you have any comment on the ongoing RCMP investigations on the Greenbelt?
No, I've always said we're cooperating with them. We have nothing to hide. You know, come in, do whatever you have to do, and eventually we're moving on. But I want full cooperation. They know that because there's nothing to hide there. Let's get going on it.
Except there's lots to hide there. This is one of the most blatant examples of corruption going. And so it's good to see that there is at least some progress, that the RCMP is now interviewing witnesses attached to this. So the RCMP is interviewing witnesses connected to Ontario's Greenbelt scandal, Premier Doug Ford's office confirmed to CTV News Toronto on Friday. In an email, a spokesperson affirmed that the Ford government has always said it will cooperate with the police investigation into the province's now scrapped plan to develop parts of the environmentally sensitive area. Let's see. This isn't a terribly long article. That cooperation would include the Premier and current and former staffing conducting interviews as witness, which are currently underway. Any further questions should be directed to the RCMP, the spokesperson says. Let's see. Down here, so Ontario announced its plan to build at least 50,000 new homes on the protected Greenbelt back in November 2022. Then Municipal Affairs and Housing Minister Steve Clark said that at the time the government would need to remove 7,400 acres to do so, but that 9,400 acres would be added elsewhere. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Yeah, sure. So I've covered this story a lot. There was a scathing report by Ontario Auditor General Bonnie just saying that, yeah, there's evidence that this was just corruption. It's all corruption. Like he sold off parts of the green belt for tons and tons of money right before he opened it up to be allowed for development. Like it's such blatant corruption. And the frustrating thing is like there's no do-overs with the green belt. You pave it over, that land is gone. That vital, sensitive land, when we're in a climate crisis, would be destroyed. You can't get it back. And there's some little ecosystems in there that are so delicate. so small that it wouldn't take much to completely upset it and wipe it off the face of the earth. And it's just disgusting that we can see him getting away with this blatant corruption, and very little has been done. So it's nice to know, at least now, that the RCMP has started to interview witnesses on this. And of course, Doug Ford is saying, yeah, there's no problem. They can do that. Most likely, the only reason why he would be calm about this is if he already has scapegoats. He already knows, who's going to take the fall for it, and it won't be him. So the RCMP launched its investigation in October. Ford has rebuffed calls to reverse the Greenbelt development plans for months, saying it was necessary to meet the province's goal of building 1.5 million homes by 2031. However, in mid-September, he announced that the government was changing course. So public pressure can work, and we need to keep it up. About that 1.5 million homes, he's including things like beds at long-term care homes as homes, also dorms for college students as homes to help reach that 1.5 million. There's enough room within city limits to build those homes. You just have to change the zoning and build up, not out. So our caucus, they shared with me what they have heard in the communities. I want people of Ontario to know I'm listening. I made promise to you that I wouldn't touch the Greenbelt. I broke that promise. Finally, an acknowledgement that he lied and broke a promise. And for that, I'm very, very sorry, Ford told reporters at a news conference. I pride myself on keeping our promises, except for the ones that I blatantly break and hope I can get away with. But, oh, shucks darn, you pushed back a little bit too far on that one, so I had to go back on the promise that I broke. It was a mistake to open the Greenbelt. It was a mistake to establish a process that moved too fast. 2 cabinet ministers stepped down in the wake of the scandal, including Clark and former Minister of Public and Business Services, Khalid Rashid. Opposition leader Merritt Stiles. What? Sorry, I get a little surprised when the news actually acknowledges who the opposition leader is Merritt Stiles. They're not mentioning she's from the NDP here. You can only hope so much, because quite often they don't care anything about what she says and just ask what the leader of the Liberals, Bonnie something or other, I can't think of her last name right now because I saw the other person's last name and both of their first names were Bonnie. But Bonnie, the leader of the Ontario Liberals, which party doesn't even have party status at Queen's Park because there's so few seats, they'll often go and get her opinions on things while totally bypassing Merritt Stiles, who is the leader of the official opposition, the NDP. Anyway, she released a statement on Friday after Ford's office confirmed that the RCMP had begun interviewing witnesses. You deserve a government that tells the truth, that cares about regular people, does right by them, a government that isn't under criminal investigation, she says. Now, again, a lot of criticisms about Ontario NDP and Merritt Stiles and stuff, but one thing that this article isn't pointing out that this Ontario Auditor General, Bonnie, in this report that was done at the initiation of the Ontario NDP. One of the good things that Merritt did right off the bat was to get the Ontario, to put a case forward to the Ontario Auditor General to start looking into this. So this was actually initiated by the Ontario NDP and Merritt Stiles. And that's one of the things, like, credit where credit is due, and I will give her credit for that. Next news story, and then there's just 2 more things to get to that are not really, well, one is news, the other is not. But this is just like, how much more ridiculous can this province get? Most Ontario 7-Elevens to offer booze for takeout and in-store drinking. 7-Eleven is turning into in-store like dining establishments. Dine in and take out. 7-Eleven. Like, I'm not against, I guess, companies changing their models and stuff like that, but all I can think of with 7-Eleven is, how I used to go there as a teenager in the middle of the night with a group of friends while they went and played one of the arcade games, and we'd pig out on like chips and stuff and pop that we would get there in the middle of the night because it was like one of the few places open 24/7. The idea that it now has like a sit-down portion where you can eat 7-Eleven food and drink alcohol, and most of these are gas stations. I think all of them are gas stations. This just seems so wrong to me that you can go get drunk at a gas station while eating gas station food. Like, I guess, well, this is just something that we're not used to in Ontario, because in Ontario used to be like only places that you could get alcohol was the LCBO, the beer store, and licensed establishments like bars and stuff like that. There weren't any like, highway, those highway stops. Oh, where are they called? The stops on the highways and stuff where there's gas stations and food and stuff. They didn't exactly have alcohol at those. So it just seems so odd to me that a gas station would be upgrading to a place that they can sell alcohol, and not only sell it, but have it that you can sit down and drink. Not only are almost all Ontario 7-Eleven stores going to sell beer and wine in coolers starting September 5th, when the Ford government allows convenience stores to start offering alcohol, but most locations will soon allow customers to drink the booze inside its store. If I were to go on a date with somebody and they suggest to me that we go to a 7-Eleven, I'd probably be like, you know what, that's unique. No. She's like, what? 7-Eleven has won approval for a liquor license at nearly every of its locations in the province, allowing them to serve alcohol for consumption in-store. However, only 2 locations currently offer this option, one in Leamington and the other in Niagara Falls. The chain tells 680 News Radio that it will soon roll out to most of the over 50 locations in a phased approach in 2025 and beyond, with potentially a handful of stores allowing in-store drinking before that. We look at ourselves as a restaurant first that sells convenience stores items. I can't think of 7-Eleven as a restaurant. I just can't. With their Slurpees and the pepper sticks, like it just the hot dogs that have been rolling on the thing for all day. I can't wrap my head around thinking of it as a restaurant. It says Mark Goodman, 7-Eleven Canada's Vice President and General Manager, who points out that the chain expanded its food offerings to include things like chicken that is breaded in-store. Traditional convenience stores items like cigarettes and other products have continuously declined year after year, explains Goodman, and so as an industry, we need to go and reshape ourselves. Again, I'm not against changing the business model, but this is so... I don't have the right association in there for 7-Eleven to be a restaurant. Like, I guess it's maybe just it's the wording, because at Costco, they have that place where you can go and get food, but I don't think of Costco as a restaurant, where I suppose, I guess, technically part of it is. It is, it's going to take some getting used to, and I don't think it's just, no, I don't want convenience store food when I'm going out to a restaurant. But not to mention now, you can go to the 7-Eleven and have to deal with people who are drinking alcohol while consuming convenience store food and are potentially drunk at a gas station. The licenses will allow 7-Eleven to serve alcoholic beverages and food at tables in dining sections of each store. Customers are not permitted to take any drinks off the premises. The liquor license states that a section of the store must be converted, blah, blah, blah. Booze for takeout. 58 of the 59 Ontario 7-Eleven locations will offer beer, wine, cider, and ready-to-drink cocktails starting September 5th. Remember, all of this was moved up a year early to get alcohol into convenience stores. It was moved up a year early at the cost of about $1 billion. Because it's not like we need health care or anything. Like, this is where the government, the province, Doug Ford is spending our money, is to make 7-Eleven into a restaurant, as opposed to helping keep ERs open, to get more family doctors, to start paying family doctors enough to make their jobs worthwhile. Instead, he keeps on privatizing and privatizing and privatizing. Like, the money that 7-Eleven makes from alcohol, that's not going back to the province, and it's taking away from the sales that the LCBO would be making. And that money goes into the province. You know, it is run by the provincial government. That's money that goes back into things that could be spent on healthcare and social services. But here we have now that money will be siphoned away from the LCBO just to line the pockets of corporations. And that's it. And then so while we're getting drunk and having food at a 7-Eleven and stumble out, and then we go into the next door Loblaws to go to the new emergency rooms that will soon be available after you've gone to the pharmacy to get prescription medication filled out. Like, it is just disgusting. What is happening in this province? What is allowed to get away with? So the owner says, we hope it will become a traffic driver. That's a very poor choice of word, to have alcohol at a gas station, to be like a traffic driver, says Goodman, who tells 680 News Radio that 20% of 7-Eleven fridges in each store will be dedicated to alcohol, in addition to 6 feet of room temperature space. Our plan is to be competitive with the marketplace, the beer store, the LCBO. Again, taking away money that would be going into social services in this province, just to line the pockets of a corporation, says Goodman when asked about the price the booze will be sold at. Working with the government actually has been quite pleasure with this process, he added. Under the provincial plan rolled out, convenience stores, supermarkets, and gas stations that are fully licensed to do so will be able to sell beer, wine, ready-to-drink cocktails, blah, 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 at the end of October. This he's making this province into just, I'm trying to think of the right word, like a junk pile. I don't know. Like, just taking away our health care, mental health care services, education. They're all degrading. And meanwhile, this is where he's putting the money to make 7-Eleven into a restaurant. Like, I'm sorry, bud, but if your business is failing, it should fail. Like, it's, you don't then get to have the government bail you out because your industry is going away. That's part of the risk you have when you own these businesses, when you're a corporation, that at some point it might not be what the people want. And I can understand changing it. And I guess I wouldn't be so against this if it wasn't for the fact that they're getting these contracts for the alcohol. Like, if they were just making this into a part restaurant where you could get convenience store food for a sit-down meal, that would be one thing. And I wouldn't be as against it. And yeah, sure, change your business model to succeed. But it's when you start selling the alcohol there too that it gets a little bit more yikesy. Because then you can maybe have drunk people at gas stations, more drunk people out and about, more people in need of ERs because of it. But those ERs are getting shut down because the money that would be going into them is being funneled away by these corporations. Just gross. Just everything, how this is all switching around is blah, yuck. Anyway, last little quick news story update. It's an update that I just wanted to cover before I plug some information from the letter hack. So I covered a story, a big long story, in a couple live streams ago about Iman Khalif, I think is how you say her name. So she is a boxer at the Olympics, and she got a whole bunch of people like Elon Musk and Chaya Raichik from Lives of TikTok, who we covered earlier, saying that she was a man, and that she was a man who is hitting women in the face for sport and entertainment and blah blah blah. And it became this big row over, oh well, apparently she has XY chromosomes, which maybe not. This was all based on some biased report from another former sports organization that apparently did tests after the fact that she beat a Russian boxer and Russia was upset about blah blah blah. Lots of information. You can go check out my live stream about it. Mike from the Humanists Report and I also touched on it, but it was more about the TYT reaction to it. But just, she became such a target for all this online hate. Again, real world consequences with social media. And she's from Algeria, where it is illegal to express being trans or queer. So it is illegal to get any sort of surgeries, to express yourself, that sort of thing. And so she is coming from a country that would never allow a trans person to get to the Olympics in the first place. And all these people saying that she is a man based on one maybe fictitious report. And suddenly the fact that she has ovaries and a womb isn't good enough to be a woman. Like, they're just constantly moving the goalposts and stuff. Well, a little bit of an update on that story. She won gold. Yeah, she won gold. Good for her. Like, part of the thing about this that was just so upsetting is she has an incredible story as to how she got to the Olympics, all the things that she had to overcome, because being a woman, when she was a young girl and stuff like that, it was very difficult for her to get into boxing in the first place. A lot of barriers she had to overcome, a lot of obstacles and stuff. So she has like a really inspirational story about how they had to sell metal parts in order to get enough money so that she could get the training and everything to get to where she is. And all of that inspirational story was overshadowed by these right-wing bigots just screaming at her that she's a man because they don't have their boogeyman. They don't have a trans woman in Olympics that is winning all the golds and proving their point that this shouldn't be allowed. It's just not a thing. And so they have to make up stories, and they targeted her because she has masculine features, I guess. Because again, the test about the XY chromosome might not have actually been a legit test, and there's lots of different chromosomes a person can have that doesn't dictate what gender they are. There's like 26 different combinations. It's much more nuanced and complex than simple XX woman, XY man. There's lots of in-betweens there. So even if she has XY chromosomes, that still doesn't make her a man. But just, a little bit of good news that she won gold. Well earned, because not only did she have to overcome all the obstacles in her life to get her to the Olympics, she had to overcome all the targeted hatred and publicity that she was getting while she was fighting. So just good for her. Okay, going to quickly check the sandbox, and then we'll get into some support for a fellow leftist. Trevor Boren saying Bonnie Crumbie, that's it. Bonnie Crombie is the leader of the Ontario Liberals. I was forgetting her last name because there was a Bonnie Lisk in the other story, and I'm horrible with names. Okay, let's see. Oh, hello, MIDI Doctors. Hello, Morbius Dragon. Welcome to the Sandbox. And everyone else, this has been really great turnout. Thank you so much, everyone. Grand Theft Autobot. Yep, the mythical radical leftists riding into the battle base of their hateful rhetoric, riding on their war unicorns with their faithful leprechauns beside them. Yeah, it's just, you're not getting the hate, the vitriol from the left, because progressives are generally speaking against that. Let's see. Looney Tunes 9000, thank you for pointing out I have a patron. Could really use some support. I've lost a couple patrons over the last little while. I don't really make much on ads and stuff from Google and YouTube, so, you know, Patreon is one of the most reliable ways that you can support me on a regular basis. If it's an individual, like just one-time thing that you want to support me, I have a PayPal link in the description box below, or if you're Canadian, e-transfer to SandeeLovas@gmail.com. Or in the link below, I also have a link to, in the description box below, I also have a link to an Amazon wish list that anything from there helps, and every little bit helps. And, you know, money from PayPal and e-transfers are specifically for help with vet bills. With Frodo, my senior cat, who has to be on medication, and he's been doing great lately, though. It's really nice. He's been doing really good, and I don't know what I would do without that cat. He's 17, and, you know, he has been able to put on a little bit of weight due to the medication that he's on. And he plays with his brothers, and it's just, yeah. He's the best thing in the world to me. Judith saying not everyone who is impoverished is a drug addict or uneducated. Many would use UBI to better themselves. Yeah, and a lot of people who end up in poverty usually, you know, develop mental health issues or turn to drugs as an escape out of despair. And so if there was a UBI set up in the first place, they would never even get to that point to begin with. Yeah, a UBI would save so many lives and improve the quality of life for so many people. Like, even for me, because like I said, I don't make much money from my YouTube channel. To have that security of a UBI, knowing that I will always have enough money to pay my rent and get my groceries, medications, you know, pay for my internet. To have that pressure off of me, I'd be able to do more YouTube videos. Because the amount of stress that it puts me under shuts me down. And sometimes my anxiety can just get so high that I can't function. Grand Theft Autobot on disability. We can't ask our boss for a raise or a few extra hours. A few extra hours of what? Being disabled? Yeah. Like, we are solely reliant on the charitability of the government, which is so bad. Like, the fact that we have to fight the government to say, can we please just have a poverty wage? That's it. We just want poverty. Like, to say it out loud and how ridiculous it is, and yet it is a thing. And there's so many people, like that guy on the street yelling at the woman in the wheelchair that she was blocking traffic. They just look down at us so much, those people. Those privileged people who don't have to live like this. And how dare you interrupt my life? But it's like, how else are we supposed to get ourselves heard? And that's the only time we'll be seen, is when we're inconvenienced. The rest of the time, we're just invisible. BKK, yes, my sister was in a wheelchair her whole life, and I've been in more than a few arguments over people not respecting her personal space and autonomy. Let's see. Gaia is wondering if we can talk about how the RNC broke Grindr. I haven't been here since it happened. Yeah, I saw the video about it or something. Around the RNC, somebody opened up their Grindr app just to show the massive increase of people on Grindr, which is a gay version of Tinder, I guess it is. Yeah, there's so many closeted Republicans and right-wingers. And it's sad because their lives would improve drastically and they'd be so much more happy if they just be themselves. Judith, LOL, and steal candy from 7-Eleven. Yeah. At 7-Eleven, after you've eaten their breaded on-site chicken and stuff. So, what would you like for dessert? Well, this packet of rockets look really good. How about Smarties or a chocolate bar? Would you like a bag of chips with your main course? Bob saying truck stops. Yes, that's what I was thinking earlier, truck stops. I don't know how it works in the States or other places, but like in Canada, the idea of having alcohol at a truck stop in Ontario is just, it's so absurd to me. Vicky Clee, let's go to the 7-Eleven. Sounds like, are you a serial killer vibe to me? LOL. I can't imagine the day that somebody's going to like maybe ask me out on a date and I'd be like, okay, so what do you have in mind? 7-Eleven. I'd be like, okay, so I'm just, I'm busy now for the foreseeable future. Oh. Like, I know there's some grocery stores where they can have sit-down areas where you can have your food, but they usually have like hot bars and things of that sort. So that's not that uncommon, but the thought of being also to have alcohol, I guess it's not that much part of our culture here in Ontario, and I don't want it to be. I don't think it would be an improvement on the province to have so many more areas where people can get drunk. Like that doesn't sound like an improvement to me. And really the only reason why a lot of these places have, like the grocery stores have places where you can sit down, partly is for their own staff, but also people nearby who are on their lunch break or something that can just sit down. It's not, generally speaking, you don't say to people, oh, let's go to Farm Boy for a restaurant atmosphere. It's usually just people who are on their lunch break or something of that sort. And again, I wouldn't call them a restaurant even. It's just, it's weird that the 7-Eleven wants that restaurant name attached to it. Yeah. Vicky Clee, hang on, wait, Canada's normal stores couldn't sell alcohol before this? Welcome to Ontario. It depends on the province that you're in because they're provincially regulated. Here in Ontario, we had the LCBO and the beer store, which were primary locations for selling alcohol. and they were provincially run, which meant the profits went back into the coffers of the province. Yay! For things like social services and whatnot. So there would be places like there's the wine rack, like little wine nooks that you could have in some grocery stores way back when, but you need certain licenses and stuff to have that. So there'd be little wine stores available, wineries, independent breweries where you could buy alcohol as well. But in just like regular grocery stores and things of that sort, no. Other than like if they had the little wine nook. No, you can buy beer or alcohol or vodka or anything of that sort. And you can now in grocery stores buy beer. That was put in place a few years ago. So within my lifetime. Which again is just, it smells bad. And it takes away, yeah, it takes away a certain amount of room from a grocery store, and it needs certain restrictions and stuff, but they can now sell beer in some grocery stores. Still not the hard liquor, so now the hard liquor is going to be able to be sold through these stores, and yeah. And I don't think it's an improvement. I don't. Rest stop was more of the word I was looking for than truck stop. Judith. Grand Theft Autobot, going on a date to 7-Eleven sounds like a step down from going to McD's or BK for a date. Like, I could see myself going to a Tim Hortons for a date, but that's, part of it is it's a coffee place. I would prefer like other cafes to go to a different cafe for a date type thing, but a lot of cafes aren't open later and stuff of that sort. So I could see myself going to Tim Hortons on a date because that's just a place where you can get a coffee and something to drink and just chat. But a 7-Eleven or a fast food restaurant just seems so high school, I guess. It's very high school. It's like what you would do when you're a teenager, you want to seem cool. It's like, yeah, let's go on a date to the 7-Eleven. Oh, looks like somebody has been giving the moderators some work in the chat. Thank you, moderators, for keeping the sandbox clean of turds. Grand Theft Autobot, I remember getting a 7-Eleven burger or hot dogs at 1 a.m. and smothering it with nacho cheese. Yeah, like that's usually the place that you would go to after the bar to get some like munchies to help with the alcohol digestion. Now it's all in one. Oh. BKK. Oh, you might meet them at the 7-Eleven. Then you could get married there. Uh-huh. And the Coke Slurpee, Grand Theft Autobot. Yeah, yeah. Vicky Clee, LOL. It's so weird to me. I expect most stores to have alcohol and have done since I'm a kid. I'm 48. Small, like greengrocers, bakers, fish mongers, butchers, I wouldn't expect, but grocery stores, yes. No, here in Canada it was a little bit more restricted. Again, province to province, but similar-ish, I think. I think Quebec was the most liberal when it came to alcohol, but in Ontario, it was just the LCBO beer store and then bars and stuff where you could get your alcohol. And there was nothing wrong with that. And the LCBOs, again, provincially ran, so the profits went back to the province. And, you know, they were nice stores, well organized, clean, people who got jobs there. They were good paying jobs, you know, nice, stable, good paying jobs, secure. And they were open well enough and long enough that, you know, you just sometimes would have to plan ahead for special events and whatnot. But I think it was a good thing. I don't think alcohol should just be accessible anywhere and everywhere. And then that just runs the risk of more underage people getting it, more stealing of alcohol, more people getting drunk more easy. And it's just the fact that Doug Ford is working so hard on making alcohol far more accessible than emergency rooms and family doctors. Like, that's where he's putting his priority, is to make alcohol more accessible. It's disgusting. Vicky Clee, Canada needs more late openings, fast food joints if y'all are using the convenience store for late night munchies. Love me the post pub kebabs. Well, Tim Hortons, back when I was younger, Tim Hortons and the 7-Eleven were pretty much the 24/7 places. And then there got to be some more places that were open later, like Sobeys is a grocery store that's now open 24/7, stuff of that sort. But ever since, especially COVID, a lot of the cafes don't stay open that late, which is really, I love a good cafe. I love going to a cafe I've never been to before, like with baked goods and coffees and stuff. And I love the environments at different cafes, but most of them close super early now, especially ever since COVID. And like, I remember going to cafes, some of my favorites, and staying there till 1 o'clock in the morning or something, which I really miss doing, and just deep in conversation and stuff. And some pubs stay open that late and whatnot. So it all depends on where you are and stuff. Some places stay open later. Okay, let's get to the last thing that I wanted to cover today, which is plug in some stuff. Plug in some stuff. So, friend of the show, the letter hack, was working with Harvey K, is that how you say his name? K? On a new Bill of Rights comic strip. So, a new economic Bill of Rights for the 21st century by Harvey J. K. and the Letter Hack. Apparently the Letter Hack is going to be going on to the Majority Report to talk about it. His second appearance on the Majority Report. I haven't even been on the Majority Report once. Just saying. I'd love to actually get onto the Majority Report or many other shows. And so a new economic Bill of Rights comic strip, a vision for 2024 and beyond, after 50 years of class war from above and concerted efforts to suppress the working class, the great majority of Americans still crave and deserve an economy built for working people. Now we have to fight for it. So with Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, we now have the 2024 Democratic Party ticket, and we clearly recognize that more than that is on the ticket. Sorry, I'm getting really tired and it's getting really difficult to read this, and I feel like this deserves more energy than what I'm about to give it. But yeah, it's ooh, this did not take kindly to being made bigger. So it just stretched it, made it more wide. So yeah, here's the new economic Bill of Rights by the Letter Hack. And you can tell it's by the Letter Hack because he has a very distinct style. Can I make that bigger? I clicked on it before and it went bigger. Oh well. No, it's not going to get bigger for me now. What is going on? Is it because it just... So if I do that now, if I do this, will it? No? Okay, fine. Don't work for me right now. It's funny. It just makes it wider. It doesn't make it bigger when you do the zooms. Yeah, so good innovation from the letter hack and Harvey here. So Bill of Rights, so here I guess the two of them are in a pub, a bar, a place that sells alcohol. So they're definitely not in Canada yet. And one is saying, they just don't get it. They? The Democrats. American democracy has been in crisis for some time and we may just lose it. The Democrats continue to turn their backs on the answer and we have to go big, as Henry Person said more than a century ago. We can save the rights, and we have inherited from our fathers only by winning new ones from bequeath our children. We need to secure an economic bills of right. Well, Harvey, maybe we should make a comic. A comic, you say? Ah. Will this one get... No, this won't. So here we have the Bill of Rights comic, but that they made, and I would suggest everyone go and check it out. So we have, again, Harvey here saying, okay, letter hack, let's begin. I have all of the cells for page 1 figured out. Sorry, I kind of got caught off guard. Is cell spelt with one L? I thought... Letter hack? Is that supposed to be 1 or 2 L's in there? I don't know. Maybe it's cell for comics is only with 1 L. And letter hack saying panels. Panels. Not cells, but panels. Whatever. Let's get going. I'm Harvey K. To save America, Democrat promise we have got to create a coalition of labor unions and progress activist organizations. And you see, the nice thing about, comics like this is it does appeal to a wider range of people. Some people are visual learners. They like, this is more appealing to read than just an article or something of that sort. And, especially younger people would find this type of medium to be more engaging, again, than just reading an article. And so this is so beneficial because it helps to engage people that normally wouldn't be paying attention. And it's something that is very shareable. You can take a comic like this and share it with friends and families. And because it's visual and it's great cartoon work, it becomes interesting to actually read, and it becomes enjoyable to read. You're not just seeing text on a page. You're actually seeing a story unfold around you when it's actually relaying information you need to know. And that's what's really good about having, this type of thing available for people to share. And so this is a really good thing that the letter hack and Harvey have done, is to make it very digestible for part of the population who wouldn't necessarily have engaged with this type of thing before. Let's see. Why the... Don't we have this already? Oops, angry lefty alert. We have to remind people of the past that's been suppressed by the right-wingers and the corporate rich. No, show them your books, Harvey. No, let's go directly to the source. And so again, making it into a narrative, making it into the story, showing people from the past in a very visually stimulating way. Very good work. Let's see. Shouldn't you be drawing? I'm still I'm stalling because I don't want to draw reactionaries. Then first, the good news. Encouraged by the New Deal and the war effort, the great majority loved Ford's idea. FDR's. Okay. FDR's idea. So we get a little bit of a history lesson in here. This is all American politics, so I don't know. But yeah, the comic tells a story of the Bill of Rights, which is, again, very important because, you know, something needed to update that Bill of Rights, the cartoon with the actual paper dancing around or something. Something needs to update it. And again, this is very shareable, and it's very appealing to a wider audience, a younger audience. And I'm a fan of the Letter Hack's work. He does amazing cartoons. It's one of the things, like, people see my artwork and are envious of me, but I see artwork like this and I'm envious of that because I can't draw cartoons and I wish I could, because there are things that I want to put into stories like this, but I can't because I don't have the ability. Because it's not even so much just drawing a cartoon to look like somebody, but it's making multiples of that person in different expressions and still understand it's the same person. Like, I wouldn't be able to, I don't know how to do that. Up here, it's all about the billionaires and the busted. Don't draw this, but imagine a chart covering the last 50 years showing how the rich screwed us and left the rest of us behind. I lost my job because my factory closed and production was moved overseas. I lost my job because a few of us tried to organize a union. I work 2 jobs because I can't get one that pays a decent wage. I got a degree and now I'm 100,000 in debt. I lost my health care and can't afford to see a doctor. We lost our house and now we're in a shelter. I'm 11 years old and my town hasn't had a clean drinking water for 10 years. You get the picture. Yeah, FDR is rolling in his grave. Wealth skyrockets, wage and benefits stay the same. Yeah, so everyone, please go check out this comic. Support them any way you can. Like I said, they will be going, they were supposed to go on the Majority Report, I think last Friday, but I think next Friday is when they'll be doing it. But just fantastic work by the Letter Hack. So glad that they did this. I would love to be able to do similar things for Canada if I had the skill, which I don't. I wish I did. Yeah, a Letter Hack, friend of the show. The Letter Hack animation cell. It is SCEL then? Okay. I'm a horrible speller. Just checking the sandbox. Let's see. Already covered that. MIDI doctors. Underage drinking was big in the 90s in UK. Alcohol pops. I think underage drinking is very popular in most places. Oh. Well, welcome to the chat, Letter Hack. I only had to plug your stuff to get you to pop in. Yes, everyone go check out the Letter Hack's channel. Tomorrow night he's going to be having, I think you're having their call-in show. Let's see. It's coming up in my recommends on YouTube. Let's see. Just trying to pop it up on screen for people. Show more. Let's go to your channel directly. There we go. Ladder hack right here. So all these notifies, so upcoming live streams were right here. So we have Lie Detector Monday Hangout and election night coverage with John from San Antonio and Left Past 10 on Wednesday. So, you know, taking up a lot of the airtime. So Lie Detector Monday. Sorry, not right now. And yeah, his channel has been getting some good momentum going. And it's always fun if you need someone to hang out with, to go and hang out with the Letter Hack. And he shares a lot of the same chat as me, so really good chat. Okay, so I think that is all that I wanted to go over. So I'm just going to remind people again, I have new Left of the Box on Twitter and Blue Sky. Please go follow those accounts so I can get those grown larger, because I really hate having to cross post them so much on the channels, because I know some people are probably a little, I don't need to see this again, and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, I just kind of realized that I probably should have a separate account for me and one for my channel content, so that when I can finally let people know about my book and stuff, that I can change like my profile picture and stuff to be more me on my account. It's just, I'm thinking about like all the work I have to do for the new accounts and stuff, because the amount of people I've blocked since Elon has taken over with the whole blue check stuff, it's like, I wish there was a way I could just bank it and move it over. So yeah, please go follow me on those accounts. I can't wait to tell you about my books. So I have a friend who's coming over in a couple weeks, and she's going to sit down with me and try to figure out how to get my first book published. The one that I even after it's published, I won't be able to tell people what it's about. And that is for my own safety. Just the content of the book, it would put a target on me, let's just say. So I can't be that open with it, and I'm writing it under a pen name. But the second book that I've written, I can't tell you about it yet. I will be able to tell you about it. It's part of a derby, online writer derby. So it's just everyone starts from scratch with fake names, fake titles. You write a book based on the cover you've selected. And it's just to see how well everyone does. But once the derby is over, I can tell people about it, and there's no reason why I can't. Like, there's no safety concerns about letting you know about this book. So I'm looking forward to the day when I can finally talk about a book, as opposed to just talking about books. Because I keep on saying, oh, I'm an author. I've written 2 books now, and yet I have nothing to back that up. I have no evidence. So I've also had to make social media accounts for my other pen name for the first book that I wrote, which is just, again, a headache, because I'm going to have to do photography for that and link it to other things. But with my Left of the Box account and my SandeeLovas accounts, at least I could follow myself on each of them. But with this other account for the author for my first book, I'm starting completely from scratch from that, because I don't want to give it away by following it. Especially not be like, oh, so the first to follow on this new author's Twitter account is SandeeLovas and Left of the Box. I wonder who this author might be. So I can't do that, unfortunately. And I have to, yeah, it's going to be a lot of work to build up those accounts as well. And oh, it's just such a pain, because I have 2 Instagram accounts already for Left of the Box and SandeeLovas, and now another one for this other, and it's just, too many, too many. I don't like having so many social media accounts. I have a hard time keeping up with them. But speaking of which, there they are, all those social medias. So yeah, I'm still primarily though on the hostile fart sauna. It's just, it's going to take some time for me to get used to when I'm liking, like the problem is on my phone, it's still my SandeeLovas account. So I'm scrolling through, oh, like. But then it's like literally, no, I need to switch over and like these other articles in the LeftoftheBox account because I really want to start separating the likes so that on my SandeeLovas account, I'm just liking things like, oh, this is cute, this is nice, I'm supporting a friend. And then on my LeftoftheBox account, I'm liking things that I will potentially use in a live stream or a story or something of that sort. And you can check out my art at SandeeLovas.com. There's a couple drawings that I've been itching to get to. So I'm going to start working on those soon. I meant to do more work on my YouTube channel and stuff and clip some videos, but then I got invested in the second book again, rereading it yet again, because it's in its beta reading phase right now. So somebody is actually reading it. I don't know who. And then they'll be giving me feedback on it, but I'm impatient and I've already started rereading it and making some more slight adjustments and stuff. Nothing big, but some minor adjustments and catching a little mistakes here and there. So I'm in the process of rereading it yet again. But I think part of it too is it's just such an escape from me. I get taken to another world with it and I don't have to think about everything that's going on here. But at least now when I go on my walks, I'm not so focused on it. I can think about other things now. So that's telling me that the story's over. And I'm actually going back in my brain to another book that I wanted to write. So before the Derby, I had a story concept in my head that I was working on. And this will be another book that I write in the near future. And so I can actually tell you about this one because I'll be writing it under my name and it's not part of a Derby, so there's no reason why I can't tell you about it. And so the book that I will be writing, I guess, next is the starting premise is very simple. A guy goes up to a cabin with a couple of his buddies for a weekend and he comes back from late night photography. And he finds something attacking his friends and he gets knocked unconscious. And when he wakes up in the cabin, there's blood stains on the floor and his buddies aren't there, but he's sitting in the room with a vampire. What would your honest to God reaction be to that? Like, no, in the movies and stuff, it's just like you see this instant acceptance. But what would your honest to God reaction be? Like, how long would it even take you to accept it as reality? And how would you question it and all this sort of stuff? So that's the initial premise of it. And from that, it expanded into like stories of the past and stuff. And so the first book is more just world building in it. It's almost designed to be a play because it is just the two characters talking back and forth. And I originally thought of it when I was thinking back to, it's an independent movie or something like that, where there is a guy playing chess with death or something and they're having a conversation. So I thought this is just a different spin on it. And so it's a way to like examine humanity, religion, gender, and, you know, to look at humans from an outside perspective of like what humans claim to be and what they actually are and stuff of that sort. And just having this conversation and just trying to figure out like, what would your reaction actually be when confronted with something like that? And so, yeah, I'm looking forward to getting started on that. So the first book in that series, and that will actually be a series, is just the conversation between the two, but then it expands into more fictional story type things that you would expect in a novel. So I'm looking forward to getting going with that. So also support with Frodo's ongoing vet bills, greatly appreciated. Like I said in the link below, there's a PayPal link, or you can send an e-transfer to SandeeLovas@gmail.com. And that just goes towards helping cover their vet bills. I recently had to take the 2 babies into the vet to get their shots updated and stuff of that sort, so that was a fair bit of money. So any help with that is greatly appreciated. But yeah, becoming a patron is one of the better ways to just show ongoing support for the channel. Because yeah, it is what it is. And thank you so much to all the people who have already become a patron, who have sent in super chats, who've sent me money through PayPal and e-transfers. Like, I super appreciate it. Who've gotten me things off of my Amazon wish list. Like, it might just be a little to you, but it makes a big difference to me to get that sort of support. And I really appreciate it. Appreciate all of you coming into the sandbox and hanging out. All the mods for keeping it clean of turds. And yeah, not sure when the next live stream is, but stay posted for that. And I'll try to get some clips up of the live streams that I've done recently. So until next time. I'm also starving. I haven't had dinner yet. Salut, à la prochaine. Thank you for watching and stay tuned. I'm Sandy, wishing your tomorrow is better than your today.